The hell, man?
I know this has been, I was thinking about this driving in.
Who goes down today? Popovich, right? He's the last one.
We have been on at this for a long time.
Yes.
We're the olds now.
I think we're going on like 19 years together.
I'm old. I am dying.
And I got to tell you, short of, and I don't remember every little bit of poppin' sports radio weeks, like the news and stuff.
Sure.
But I do remember the ones that stand out because they're unique.
Yeah.
There was one magical summer where usually summer there's nothing going on.
I know the one of, I guarantee I know where you're going with this.
Dude, it was Mike Vick dogfighting followed by Tim Donaghy's sports betting scandal.
They're like, there's nothing that can knock this off the front page. And Tim Donaghy's like, hold my beer.
What a magical sports radio summer.
Yes.
Now, that was, I don't even know what year that was. Who knows what
That was
year?
a long time ago.
This week has been the most bananas sports radio week I can remember since that.
Yes.
It's just,
Yeah.
it's insane.
It's crazy.
And then you add the local angles of the, DeBoer and Lanning and.
Well, it was on Wednesday, right? We finished the show, and I went to a Broadway show over at the Keller. So like we sign off, and at intermission, they have the intermission. You got like 25 minutes, or whatever. So I'm sitting in my chair, and I pull out my phone, and I pull up, and there's like the report from like the K-Val in Eugene that Lanning's in Tuscaloosa, and like SI's picking up on it, and then so like I'm like, what the hell? My lady's sitting there next to me. She's like, what's going on? I'm like, you may be losing your coach, and so then I put my phone away. Obviously, and then when I reopen it again, now the world is like, well, that didn't happen. That's a crock of what. And then, of course, the next day it comes out, and now Washington is like on the hot seat, that DeBoer is the guy. Because all my Washington fans are like blowing up the timeline, laughing at Oregon fan that they, the little stepping stone your third coach leaving. And then 24 hours later, they're like, oh no, it's happening to us. You went from a national championship to this. Now DeBoer is like the most hated man in Seattle history.
Yeah, I don't really understand that. Can you explain that to me?
Well,
just because he left?
Well, the what you're hearing now is F you came here, you didn't recruit for 2 years, you hit the perfect storm with players that weren't yours and Michael Penix, and you couldn't recruit, you knew what was going to happen, and so then you just bailed on us and left us worse than when you got here, which is a total pile of crap. But again, this is the spurn lover thing. Like anytime you get broken up with, immediately it turns into, you're a dumb bitch, I hate you, you're the worst human being on the planet, and I should have never met you. Whereas 6 days ago, you were the second coming of Jesus, and you were the
I just feel like, okay, well, first of all, it wasn't just, you're right. The 48-hour Washington Duck fan roller coaster was a blast to watch from the ground.
The Spider-Man meme, just a lot of finger pointing.
So fun, because those two fan bases they're both, I mean,
insane.
They're insane.
Yes.
Well, anyway, then you add in that Belichick left and Saban left. Yeah. And oh, by the way, I'd like to talk about some damn playoff games, but I can't.
Good luck.
The Blazers lose by 62. Oh, wait, no one cares about that.
Someone should care about 62.
I know, but that's like
it was
headline
118
number
to 57.
That's like headline number 18. No one cares. But I don't know. I think that's kind of stupid. I follow Jason Puckett. I don't know if I follow Softy, but somehow he often ends up in my timelines. Oh no, because it's the fan Twitter account, and they follow Softy. Yeah. So I've seen a lot of his stuff today. Those KJR guys in Seattle are crying like such babies about DeBoer leaving. And look, I get it. You're upset. I would be too. It's just I don't. Why would you blame him? Like this is coaching.
Yeah.
Why do you think you're any different? It's like
you're not.
It's the Alabama job. Yeah. It's like, I don't know how many jobs could have come open that could have got DeBoer. Washington tried to pay him. I mean, it sounds like they're saying like $9 million a year or something.
Coming up with
they stepped up.
They tried.
But how many jobs is Kalen DeBoer after going to the national championship game? How many jobs is he really going? Okay. 10. You think 10? See, I think fewer.
Nah.
But Alabama's certainly one of them, and it just happened to open. It's bad timing. It's not his fault. He seems like a good dude. And by the way, he never lied.
No.
He never said boo.
Nope.
He's not that coach that came out and said, well, I'm staying, and then the next day he's leaving.
He gave he didn't quite go Jim Harbaugh, but we talked about this. Remember when Lanning came out and planted the flag after the A&M stuff? DeBoer was asked like the very next day, and DeBoer's was very much, I I want to be here. We're trying to get something done. He was not planting the flag like
no, he never did. And I think you should give him credit for that. He's being as honest as he can be.
Yes.
Much like Jonathan Smith.
But I also think one of the reasons why
So why are you so butthurt? It's just you're butthurt because Oregon kept their coach.
Yes.
And you didn't.
Yeah.
And that makes Oregon look better than you because it was the same job.
Yes.
And you think you're on an even playing field. And yes, you have the bragging rights from the wins on the field.
Yeah.
But I think the worst part about this for Washington fan and maybe why they're so whiny about it is that Oregon kept Lanning. They're going to have Lanning a long time. Lanning seems to be building something much better than what DeBoer was building at Washington, even though DeBoer beat Lanning, and they're pissed off about it.
I just think that and like half the team leaving, that hurts too. Like
they were going to have to rebuild no matter what DeBoer stayed.
But the fact that you already have the guys that were leaving already with the transfer portal where now you think you're going to get gutted, and we're seeing some of that already, and the fact that recruits it was not a great job of recruiting. And the idea was that we don't have to worry about that because DeBoer he finds his guys, right? And so when you're not doing a great job of recruiting raw talent and the whole thing is don't worry about it, I know how to win with these guys, and then you remove that component, what you're left with is, oh my God, we're moving to the Big Ten and we don't have a lot of talent. And so that's the panic.
Well,
and look, anytime someone has a criticism of you, I was just having this conversation with someone. When someone criticizes you in a way that is not accurate, right? Someone says, man, you are a selfish son of a bitch. And you know deep down you are not selfish. You're a very generous, very loving person. Yeah, it just rolls off your back. You're like, whatever. But if someone's like, dude, you are a selfish son of a bitch, and deep down you think you are, that's the guy that gets sensitive. That's the guy that's like, what the hell? Don't you dare call me. Hey, you have anger issues. I don't have anger issues. I will stick my thumb through your eye. You're like, oh, geez, Ike Turner. And I think what happened with Washington here is there was a fear from Washington that this was a once in a generational type thing, a perfect storm, that it wasn't going to be able to be duplicated, that there was already some fear, even with DeBoer coming back, going to the Big Ten, that they weren't recruiting that well. There was no Penix. These receivers were going to leave. And oh my God, can we do this? And so now that is being brought up, I think you're seeing that fear become reality, and I think they're very sensitive about it. But don't act like Oregon fan when they got ditched for Florida State and Miami, that they weren't doing the same thing.
Look, I get Washington fans upset today. I get that. At the same time, which is it? You're saying he's not recruiting that well. Well, then okay, is it that big of a loss?
It is.
So he's not recruiting that well, but yet he's the best and he screwed us. That doesn't add up. So you obviously overlooked the fact that he isn't recruiting to the level of Oregon or some other schools. You don't care about that, or else you would be fine. Let's see ya. Bye.
But again, you're missing the point of the belief was Kalen DeBoer has won everywhere he's gone without elite level talent, including at Washington, even though I'd make the argument he had a very talented team. And that's the component, is as long as DeBoer was there, Washington fan felt like it didn't matter that they weren't recruiting the way Oregon was or the way Michigan was or Texas, because they've seen him consistently beat those teams. He was... we always say, like in the NFL, when you get a quarterback, Patrick Mahomes erases a lot of warts. That's why you pay him $50 million, right? DeBoer was their eraser. He was the guy that filled in all those gaps. Well, you removed him, and now you have all the gaps. And now you have even more gaps because he's taking players with him, and guys are bailing from in the portal. And all this talk of guys, Will Rogers going to leave with him and bolt out of there. And if that's the case, then who the hell's our quarterback? And our schedule is a murderer's row. And so I totally understand their panic. I do not think that it had Lanning left Oregon, I do not think it would have left the crater that DeBoer leaving Washington. Look, I think these are two different scenarios.
The panic I get too. I'm not talking about that. I am talking about the hate toward DeBoer. That's what I'm talking about. First of all, and I also think it's silly to think you don't have to recruit that well. I mean, that's you talking yourself in circles. Not you. I'm saying Washington fan. Yeah. You're talking yourself in circles that DeBoer is so great that he doesn't. Come on. We all know that college football is mostly about recruiting.
Yeah.
Look, you are mad that DeBoer left. You're mad about the state of the program. I get that. But the vitriol toward DeBoer, I think, is just you're just being a bitch.
Well, that's everything. I mean, sour grapes. It's welcome to the world of college
better.
football. Be better.
How about this?
Well, no one's better.
Be better.
Find me the program.
Kansas.
Yeah, because if Bill Self left tomorrow for North Carolina,
come on.
you would, I'm sure, when Roy Williams
we've
left,
already been through that.
No, but when Roy left,
no.
How was Kansas basketball fan?
They gave him a standing O on his way out the door.
You guys weren't bitter at all.
No. Great fan base, man. Yeah. A real fan base, unlike Washington, apparently.
It's certain. This hurts. I know Oregon fan is just is licking their lips because Washington for the last 2 years has held their thumb over you and been like, oh, that's cute. Well, nice uniforms, nice recruiting. We have the results on the field, and all of a sudden it's like, holy hell.
Well, here's what you do now, Washington. You make a hammer coaching hire.
Yeah.
And you go out and you talk with your helmet. And you beat Dan Lanning again.
You talk with your helmet!
I would tell you what.
It's not out of the realm of possibility.
If Washington, whoever they hire, Kleiman or, some of the names that are flying around out there, I haven't seen what happens with Ryan Grubb. Does he stick around? Is he head coaching material? I've heard from some people that don't think he's polished enough to be on the podium. But you remember Alabama tried to hire Ryan Grubb last year, their offensive coordinator, and UW paid him like a head coach and was like, no, I ain't going anywhere. So does Grubb go with DeBoer? Does he who knows?
See, don't you think if Grubb stays, that's good.
That's great.
But again, if they're able to keep him.
I don't know. Again, I don't know enough about him. Is he a guy that you can put on the pedestal? And
is he Jimmy Lake?
There's some people that think that he is not ready for prime time.
Oh.
That he is an OC and not a head coach.
Right. Go get Jed Fish.
That is mine. If I'm UW.
Really?
Will just hit it on that. That's where I back up the Brinks truck. I would no offense to any of the coaches that are out there, but you're not getting you're not getting the top 4 or 5 guys in the country. You're not pulling anyone out of an SEC type program to come there. You're just not. And when I look at finding someone that is young, energetic, can recruit, builds an offense, that's my number one thing. I want a guy that can build an offense, right? Lanning's building a defense, but whatever. You find a guy that is a master of the X's and O's. I'll always lean towards offense. Jed Fish took over a program in Arizona that was a GD dumpster fire. He's done a phenomenal job of recruiting. In a very short period of time, he has made them a player in the Pac-12. Players love him. He runs a great offense. They compete hard for him, and he's winning recruiting battles that he shouldn't be winning. And he's at a program in Arizona that's going through a budgetary crisis, the likes of which we haven't seen in a Power 5 program in years. Not an athletic budget, a university budget. Like, Arizona is not in a good spot right now, and they'll always be second fiddle to Arizona basketball down there. You're telling me that $7 million, $8 million doesn't go get Jed Fish out of Arizona? I am on a plane right now down to Tucson, and I'm not leaving until Jed Fish gets on an airplane with me.
Really?
Yeah. And if that's the case, then I think you feel a lot better about it. But it's
what about Whittingham?
Yeah, good luck. He's going to retire in a year or two. He ain't leaving Utah.
You're not getting him out of Utah. He won't leave.
I don't think there's a job in America, and I mean this 100%. I do not think there is a job or an amount that will get Kyle Whittingham out of Utah. One, he's very well compensated. He is a guy that money does, like, for all the Lanning, like, money and it's the grass is always greener on the other side, that sort of thing, or isn't greener. There isn't another coach in the country that is more that way than Kyle Whittingham. I know guys that know him. I know guys that played with him. I've had many interactions with him. He is wired different. He is not leaving. And he's not long for Utah. He will retire a Ute within 2 to 3 years. He's got other stuff he'll want to do.
Here's a name. Nick Rolovich.
Yeah. But why would I get Rolovich when I can go get Jed Fish?
That was a joke.
I think Rolovich actually.
Look at you. You're like, yeah, great. No way.
Why is Rolovich a bad hire?
He's been like ostracized from college football.
Yeah, simply because
nobody even hire him as a coordinator.
I find that to be silly.
Can you imagine if they hired him?
No.
The backlash?
Rolovich will be back around at some point. Rolovich was a really good hire for Washington State. Didn't work out, but the more that the COVID stuff kind of gets in the background and more people are starting to kind of come around to the RFK way of thinking with the vaccines and stuff, Rolovich will be back in a college football program within a couple of years.
All right, Kalen DeBoer goes to Alabama. That's what we know. Joey Harrington will join us at 5:30 tonight. We'll talk about Dan Lanning staying and Kalen DeBoer going. We have Rop in the Bank. I just got Bucks picks. A lot of exotics in there. So,
oh, God.
Yeah.
I wonder what Art Browse is doing.
Probably. Well,
wasn't he at Grambling for like a day?
No. Oh no, that was his son-in-law is a coach. Lebby.
Yeah, Lebby.
He's at Michigan or Mississippi State now, right?
Yes.
Is he the head coach there? Yeah, I don't know what. Who cares?
He's not.
Okay.
Not.
Here's the.
Yeah, Lebby's at Mississippi State. You're right.
It's not going well. None of this is going well. Let me get the poll question in on X at 1080 The Fan. Brought to you by AAA Heating and Cooling, a family business helping families for over 60 years. AAAIAQ.com. Today we're asking you, who made the best move? Jonathan Smith to Sparty, Dan Lanning staying, or Kalen DeBoer to Bama? Vote hard on X. More on this next on The Fan. Alabama. Kalen DeBoer is going to Alabama. We don't know for how much, but it sounds like Washington did their best to try to keep him.
So
Reports are 7 years, at least $9 million a year.
Yeah.
And he still went, which means that you weren't going to be able to keep him. I mean, he's probably just looking at resources of Bama and going, it
wasn't about money.
A better gig. And so he is gone. Now, a lot of people asking this question, are we even certain that Lanning was their top choice? And no, we're not.
Yeah.
But I think at this point, it's pretty clear how the college football coaching carousel works. And in college football, it is largely controlled by agents and one guy in particular, in Jimmy Sexton. And Jimmy Sexton is, he represents everybody. He represents, like, all the names you heard for this job are Jimmy Sexton clients. Mike Norvell, who, by the way, just got a huge extension today. He's making $10 million a year. Dan Lanning is a Jimmy Sexton guy. James Franklin, Lane Kiffin, Steve Sarkisian. God, who else? He's got a bunch of others, but the point is
the power broker. He's the Scott Boras of college football.
And the main point there is that he was Nick Saban's agent.
Yes.
And that means that he was going to control the Alabama hire.
Yep.
And I know the AD wouldn't want to hear that, but that's how these things work. And so he got a bunch of guys raises. And, oh, by the way, Kalen DeBoer is a Jimmy Sexton guy. So it was pretty clear that a Jimmy Sexton guy was going to get that job because of his clout. But I think that Lanning being a Sexton guy means that you better believe he was in the mix. And he shot that down really fast. And that leads us back to the idea that Greg Byrne knew Nick Saban was leaving long before we did. Jimmy Sexton certainly knew because he was Nick Saban's agent. And that means when it's also pointing to, it doesn't mean that, but it's pointing to the idea that when Lanning came out and said, I'm staying, I'm not going anywhere, and he's so emphatic about it with regard to the A&M job. Oh, he's a Jimbo Fisher guy too, Jimmy Sexton.
Yeah.
Then he was speaking so confidently because Sexton had already sniffed him around Alabama, and Lanning wasn't going to do it.
Yeah, it sounds like from the reading that Saban did not inform anyone that he was retiring, but he informed everyone that the end was coming sooner than later, and this may indeed be the end. So, so
they were probably already poking around Lanning because of Sexton.
Yes.
And because Sexton knows what Saban's doing.
Yeah.
So that would, that would add up.
Yeah.
So the idea of, was Lanning even on Alabama's list? I think every Jimmy Sexton, elite guy that Jimmy Sexton represents was on this list.
Yes.
Every one of them. And Dan Lanning was one of them, but he quickly said no.
And Lanning didn't need to use this the way Sark or Norvell did because he had already gotten this giant
They'd already used it.
And it sounds too like there's some other things, and everyone's kind of being cryptic about it, that the buyout was more than $20 million and that there may be some Nike stock involved and some back end stuff. It sounds like Oregon and Jimmy Sexton have dug in about as well as you can dig a coach in with Dan Lanning at Oregon. And that doesn't mean that he'll never leave. It doesn't mean he'll be there forever. It doesn't mean that they won't fire him, any of those things. But I truly don't think I'm on your side that he was ever really interested in this job. And by the way, I don't think Sark and I don't think Norvell or any of those guys really were either.
No,
I think the idea I think the idea of following Nick Saban is not something that a lot of people wanted to do. And this is the difference, and UW won't want to hear this, but it's true. You have everything you need at Florida State to recruit at a top 5 level and win a national title. Same thing at Texas. Are those jobs inherently better or worse than Alabama? I think they're kind of the same thing. If Nick Saban was either one of those places, you can build a dynasty. You can win championships. And UW is a really, really good job. UW is a top 15, top, whatever job in the country. It's not a top 5 job. It's not a top 6 job. And so I think for guys like Sark and those guys to pick up and move for not much more money, they knew that they were going to be able to use this to scare up $10 million at their places and get extensions. There's no reason then to jump into that fire and have to follow Nick Saban. I think 5 years from now, if DeBoer fails, that Alabama job is more attractive to these sorts of candidates than it is right now. I do. So this was one of those kind of perfect storm sort of things where I wonder if this job had come open. I don't wonder. If this job had come open 2 years ago, Dan Lanning's not at Oregon. Dan Lanning's at Alabama.
Probably is, yeah.
If it had come open a year ago, I'm not certain that Dan Lanning is at Oregon. He's probably at Alabama.
If it's 2 years ago, it could be Lincoln Riley.
Yeah, it's true.
He was the hottest name in college football.
And not only do I think that they have really dug in Lanning from a financial and a commitment and all that standpoint, I was also reading too that, and I was talking to someone that I feel like he's fairly well connected. Like, I'm not saying that he's the insider of all insiders, but I do think that when Lanning says something, he is aware of the egg on the face factor. And not only does I think he's very happy there and all those things are true. You know what you look like when you come out a couple months and make those sorts of statements and then turn around the next day, a couple months later, and then bolt. And that's not who he is. I just don't think he was willing to do that for anywhere. I don't think there's a job right now in America that could pull him out of Eugene.
The other thing about DeBoer leaving too is because people are asking, well, why? That's the Alabama job. But also you got to remember there's a new AD there that just started in October.
Yeah. What do you mean?
Well, there's a new AD. I mean, oftentimes, the AD that hired him left. So.
Oh, well. Yeah,
that's a factor.
Yeah, I guess
that was a factor with Chris Peterson.
I guess I didn't think about that. Yeah, from top to bottom, do you feel like you have that sort of continuity?
Well, I just think, I don't. The new AD came from Tulane.
Yeah,
but I think that's a factor in these coaching moves that oftentimes we don't know as much about, but is a bigger factor than you think. Like Jen Cohen was the one that hired him at Washington, and she left, and this new AD came in October. It could be a totally different vibe for him.
That is true. I guess I wasn't seeing where you were going with that, but it's a very good point in that if you don't feel, let's take it to the NFL model, if you don't feel that your GM and owner have your back, and one of the rumors that you've heard up there from UW, and I don't think it's a rumor, it's a fact, their NIL situation there, they don't pay high school kids. They don't believe in it. There is, if you come here, we'll take care of you, you perform, you get paid. But they are not necessarily on board with the idea of, hey, it's going to cost us $2.5 million to go get a 5-star kid. And if you're talking to the AD and you don't necessarily agree with his vision, if you don't agree with the NIL, if it's not good from top to bottom, I never thought about that it is not the guy, or again, the gal that he signed up with. Yeah, maybe that was just another in a long list of, he looked at it and was like, how do I possibly turn down Alabama? Because the only way you turn down Alabama is you look at your situation and go, there is nothing here that I could ask for more at my school. And I don't think you can say that about UW right now.
Exactly. Yeah. Seattle just taking it in the shorts too, man.
It's
Pete Carroll, the title game, and DeBoer all in a week.
It's awful.
That's unbelievable.
Hey, don't worry. You still have 54% of your wins coming real soon.
In Julio, you trust.
Yeah, you'll be fine. What are you talking about?
Or Mitch Garver.
Yeah.
Now, here's a better question. If
Mitch Haniger again?
The Kraken are 8-0 in their last 8 games. Come on now.
If DeBoer beats Michigan, is he still at Washington?
No, I don't think so. I think this had more to do with, to your point, I think this had more to do with the structure of the program than anything else. UW is a great job. Alabama is a truly, truly elite job. And there's a difference there. And that's I think when you look at those other coaches from Texas to Florida State, and it's going to sting to hear this for UW fan, but the Oregon job right now, and look, the Oregon job has been left for Miami and Florida State in the last handful of years. So don't act like Oregon isn't, it can't be left. But I do think that as far as resources go in this world of NIL and resources and money and all that and stability, I think the Oregon job is better than the UW job. And I think you just found that out. So when you asked how many jobs would DeBoer leave for, I think it's 10. I think when Georgia, when LSU, when Ohio State, when Florida State, when these jobs come up, you have more tools to play with. So, if you're UW, you know that there needs to be work done. You have to build your program into one where no one can point to you and say that you have deficiencies here, here, and here. And so, no, I believe it or not, and this is just my ignorant opinion maybe, I don't think if DeBoer wins a national title, I don't think he stays. I think he does. I came here I did what I came here to do, and I'm going to Alabama because and my guess is at the press conference he will say this is Alabama. This is a chance to play in the SEC. It's a chance to follow in the absolute legend. I can't imagine that I would have been here 4 years ago when I was at Fresno State. Blah 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 blah. And no one is going to be critical outside of diehard Husky fan for him taking the Alabama job.
Has anybody ever been in 3 conferences in 1 week?
Boy, that's like standing at the corner of those 4 states, right? You can be in 4 states at once.
Pac-12
Big Ten.
to Big Ten to SEC in a week.
That is probably a unique. I wonder if he uses that. He's like, yeah, I just like to explore this.
First ever to do it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, one other leg to this is Jonathan Smith. There's a lot of talk about Washington maybe trying to get him out of Michigan State. He hasn't even coached a game, and they want. I mean, what? So we'll get to that next, and then I think we can get to our super wildcard weekend primer.
Oh yeah, that's the amazing part.
What do you mean? Oh yeah,
it's so.
Come on, man.
It's the NFL, and yet it's just been completely buried by this coaching carousel.
Wow.
It's Division I football!
So we'll get to that coming up. It is 3:32. Here's Will.
Dan Lanning that he was never offered the job. One, we'll never know. And two, even if he wasn't considered, Jimmy Sexton did an amazing job of allowing Dan Lanning to have his name out there and still use it as a huge recruiting pitch. And the idea of I turned down Alabama.
That's what I was saying. Yeah. That's why I brought that up.
Yeah.
It's like that question, we won't know the answer to it, but I don't know why Alabama wouldn't want Dan Lanning. And like I said, every one of Jimmy Sexton's big clients was on their list.
Yes.
Because Jimmy Sexton was controlling that whole thing.
Yeah, so even if it was never a thing, it would be so easy, like you said, for Jimmy Sexton to simply be like, hey, Dan, watch this. You may not get a bump because you already got your giant bump, but we're going to use this as a major, another reason to get your name out there and make you and your program look great. Because right now, if you're Oregon, you're putting out a video saying, hey, you don't know where you're going? Come here because I ain't going anywhere, including Alabama. And meanwhile, Alabama could be like, we weren't going down that road in the first place. But it's the narrative that is controlled. And like you said, it all runs through one guy.
But I think it says, so we had Bartu on yesterday, and he was saying these things, first of all, never believe what's out there. 99% of what's out there is bull. But he said a lot of times they have their guy way before you think they do. And what this is all pointing to is what I was saying about Jimmy Sexton. What this all points to is that when the Jimbo Fisher is a Jimmy Sexton guy. Yeah. The A&M job was a Jimmy Sexton. He was the puppet master, right? Just like Alabama. Jimmy Sexton is Nick Saban's guy. Jimmy Sexton knows Nick Saban may be leaving. When Dan Lanning was so confident that he was staying at Oregon, saying the things he said, we thought it was about the A&M job. What this is pointing to is that Sexton was already floating Alabama. Right?
Yeah.
And Dan Lanning would not have been so confident if he were really interested in the Alabama job. Then they find out that Nick Saban really is leaving and it's on. But what I'm saying is Dan Lanning was, if he was their first choice, it makes sense that way back then.
He told him no.
Yeah. And that's why he was so confident with how he spoke. And then, like you said, this week, it's another opportunity for Lanning to say no, put out a good video, and get more recruits.
Sure.
It
is.
He knew long. I think there are elements of this that point to people knowing about all of this, including Nick Saban and Greg Byrne and Jimmy Sexton and Dan Lanning and Phil Knight and Rob Mullins and all of this before anybody did. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. I mean, you can really start to see kind of the game within a game. And
here's another one. I'm sorry.
No, go
I didn't mean to cut you off.
No.
One other thought. That could also be the reason why Kalen DeBoer was not fast to sign his deal at Washington.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that his agent is like, hey, just
Jimmy
so you know,
Sexton,
there could be something coming up here.
Exactly. So this whole idea of Kalen DeBoer saying, "Oh, yeah, I just really want to focus on football, and we'll worry about this at the end."
Boy, that is a good point.
Right?
That's a real.
It's all playing out.
That's a really, really good point because they were offering him $8 million, a couple months ago. And excuse me. And you are so right that his agent is telling him, he's like, look, man, just
sit tight.
Take a deep breath because
something's coming.
Michigan, Alabama, both of these jobs.
And that's why Sexton's in a win-win because every one of his guys, including Norvell,
it's all bumped.
And if DeBoer stayed at Washington, he was going to get more than double what he made. Dan Lanning's been taken care of. See how the timeline works?
Or if Norvell takes the job, excuse me, if Norvell takes the Alabama job, then
exactly
we move to Florida State.
That's right.
DeBoer's like, yeah, it's not Alabama. Would you like Florida State? It is weird that one guy can control so much. And I think that is the rub, like I said, where I think some UW fans are starting to go down that kind of conspiracy road with you is like Bruce Feldman had it today. I was reading an article on him and it was talking about the recruiting aspect. And they were saying that they talked to some people that have been around DeBoer and they're like, hey, how is he going to recruit in the SEC? And they're like, oh, he'll do great. He'll put a bunch of great recruiters around him. He's a real genuine guy. And they think he's going to hit this home run. And they're saying, oh, he'll just be this great recruiter. And some people are like, then why the hell wasn't this the case at UW? And so, of course, some people are now going down the road of he knew that, a year ago that he was basically gone.
There you go.
And so so that goes back into this whole conspiracy theory of, did you screw us over and you were merely using us and you knew you weren't going to be here, or you Urban Meyering us at Utah, and the moment you hit big, you were out of there, which is why you didn't sign the contract extension in the first place. And now we're getting into we all hate everybody and screwed DeBoer and we're going to burn him in, effigy.
Well, if you think about it, DeBoer and Lanning were both hot items last year.
Yeah.
And that's when Saban first indicated, it sounds like behind the scenes, that this could be his last year.
Yeah.
Lanning gets paid because he wants to stay. DeBoer
could have been paid and wasn't.
Lanning?
No, DeBoer never, like you said, DeBoer.
I said Lanning.
Yeah, I know, but then right after that, I'm like, to your point.
Could have been paid, but didn't.
DeBoer could have taken the extension and he didn't.
And then Norvell gets paid now because he had an undefeated season. He wasn't that hot a year ago, but he goes and gets an undefeated season. Jimmy Sexton's like, okay, how do you like $10 million? And you get $10 million a year. I mean, it's unbelievable. And it's not a conspiracy to say that Sexton, this is just the way it works.
Yeah.
This is college football. Yeah. So, I guess the last little bit of this that we've yet to discuss is, does Washington try to get Jonathan Smith? And does Jonathan Smith go Pac-12, Big Ten in the matter of a month?
Wouldn't that be something? I'm telling you, go get Jed Fish.
I mean, Smith's buyout is only $7 million.
Is it really?
Yeah. I mean, it's not that big.
Yeah.
You can get it. I mean, he may. Boy,
I wouldn't.
You want to make some enemies.
Yes.
You want to create a rivalry in the Big Ten, Michigan State, Washington, jump.
Well, and if you're Jonathan Smith, boy, I mean, can you do that? Like,
do you do that?
What is your, I don't think you can. In this game, your reputation has to matter at least somewhat. That's that Todd Graham was doing that. And I'm telling you, like, if you get known as being that guy, it can be real negative real fast for you, especially if you don't start winning 10 games.
Well, the other thing I would do is, if I'm Smith, you just, focus on Michigan State. Yeah. And in a couple of years, Washington, they may come calling again.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like it's a slam dunk. Whoever they hire next is going to stay there forever.
No, I mean, you got to remember, about 65% of the coaches that get hired at these Power 5 programs, they're gone in a handful of years.
Exactly. So Smith's like, I'll probably be gone from Michigan State, then I'll get the Washington job.
No, I mean,
because that guy will be gone.
We'll see who's there. We'll see how long Bray stays. We'll see how long, DeBoer stays. I mean, all these guys. I mean, right now we're all jocking Norvell and we're jocking Sark. And, and look, to be fair, we're jocking Dan Lanning, right? Dan Lanning right now can do no wrong.
Turd moments.
He's out there and he's posting videos and he's smoking cigars and it's like, we're building this championship team and no one, it's top of the world. We're turning down Alabama. To be fair, and from the 30,000 foot view, Dan Lanning has won absolutely nothing. He lost to Oregon State his first year. He's never won the conference. He's yet to beat Washington. Now, we all love the trajectory of the program, but when Willie Taggart got the job, everyone was like, oh, Willie's going to kill it. Oh, Mario's here. Mario's going to kill it. And both of those guys, by the time they left, especially Mario, people were like, okay. So in fairness to everyone, Dan Lanning still has a lot to prove, a lot to prove. So start by winning conferences, and it's a lot harder now to win in the Big Ten. Start getting into the playoffs. I mean, I think that Lanning is building something really special here, but we don't know, because anytime someone Gary Anderson had Beaver fan believing that he was going to be the next great coach at that program.
Go Beavers! How about that?
How many times? Charlie Wise. Notre Dame gave Charlie Wise a lifetime contract.
Well, life comes at you fast in the coaching world. I mean, Lincoln Riley was king 2 years ago, and now it's like, it changes really fast.
Ed Ogeron won a title at LSU. And I believe it was 2 years later, if I'm not mistaken. Ed was bye, boom. So
yeah, you never know.
You don't know what. In 5 years from now, we could be looking back at Lanning and DeBoer and Smith and all this and being like, what the hell were any of us thinking?
Willie Fritz is winning back-to-back titles.
Yes.
Well, DeBoer, that could be. That's just it. This is why I think the hate on DeBoer is silly. What would you do? You capitalize. I will never blame anyone in any walk of life or any profession for striking while the iron is hot.
No.
If you're the hot name, like you just said, in 2 years your name could be mud. So when Alabama comes calling, you take that call.
Dabo Swinney 2 years ago was that he was Kirby Smart. Dabo was the best coach in college football, had beaten Nick Saban 2 out of 3 times for a national championship, and was the de facto coach in waiting at Alabama. And now, have you seen what the Alabama students are doing?
No.
They are gathering on campus and having big old rallies, and one of the chants is anyone but Dabo. Anyone but Dabo. That is a guy that played there.
That's got to make him feel good.
Right? Like, if you're Alabama, Dabo played there, coached there, from there. Like, everything about him is Alabama. And he's won multiple national championships. And he has a fan base down there chanting, anyone but Dabo. Think about that. How quickly something can turn on your ass.
What if BYU has a job opening on their sports radio and your name comes up? And all of a sudden, all the Mormies are out in front of the temple. Anyone but Souk. Anyone but Souk.
Like, you telling me that doesn't get at you? Your alma mater?
I know.
That's
brutal.
You're telling me Dabo isn't a little bothered by that?
Oh, I'm sure he's way bothered by it, but he's also made his own bed. He's a douchebag.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, but to his credit, he's won a couple titles, so it's like.
And the other thing that we don't know,
still a good coach.
To me, if I believed that I had everything, a la Norvell or Sark, I wouldn't leave. I'm a big believer of you've built something good and keep momentum, and I don't want to follow Saban. The one thing that we don't know at any of these programs is what they really think of them. Because Jimbo Fisher didn't like Florida State. Jimbo behind the scenes was like, I don't dig it. I don't have what I need. Nick Saban came out a couple years ago and was chastising Alabama for not having enough NIL money. He was like, we're not keeping up with Texas A&M. That was what all that was about. So I don't know. Maybe behind the scenes, to your point, DeBoer looked at the new AD, looked at his NIL, looked at his boosters, looked at all that, and was like, dude, I don't have what I want. You know what behind the scenes is kind of a rub for a lot of UW people, and it sounds so stupid, but you hear this from a lot of kids and people that are connected to the recruiting world. You know what a big deal a strike against UW is? Adidas.
Oh, yeah.
It's not cool.
Well, no, it isn't.
No kid wants to go play in an Adidas school. They don't. So when you're trying to compete and your NIL thing is we don't really like to give high school kids money. It's not really our beat. Think about all the college football powerhouses. From Michigan to Oregon to Bama to Clemson to all. Do you see a common factor here? None of them are Adidas schools. And when they took that deal with Adidas, it was for a lot of money. It was more money than Nike wanted to pay. And a lot of people said, dude, that is not like you are trading a small amount of money for something on the back end that's going to hurt you. Because when you go into living rooms, how many times do you hear from kids that go to Oregon? They're like, dude, I love everything about that place. And I love the Jordan thing. Michigan was the first Jordan school. And they said that was a $173 million investment that Jordan Brand put in for Michigan to be the Jordan school. And they said that thing is paid off in spades because it brought Michigan into a new realm, and it was a cool thing you have. So it could be a little thing like that. The DeBoer looks around and goes, man, when I go on recruiting trips, I don't have the ammo to compete against those people, and we'll never know what goes into those decisions.
Here's a text that says, I lived in Gaston, Alabama, a truly terrifying experience. And he said they don't like Dabo because he beat Saban.
Twice.
Yeah.
And you would think that you'd want the conquering hero to come home, but they...
Yeah, he's kind of... I don't know. Dabo's kind of lost his shine the last few years. Yeah. The NIL thing.
Yep.
He just...
Well,
he's not the guy. I mean, like you said, this is another example of life comes at you fast. Like, he was king. He was the next guy behind Saban.
Yep.
Slam dunk to follow Saban, 3 years ago, maybe.
And now
we don't want that.
Anyone but Dabo.
It's crazy. And Dwayne brings up a good point. Lanning better beat DeBoer when he meets him in the playoff at Alabama.
Yeah.
You got to beat that guy.
Otherwise, it's just going to be
4-0.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on, shall we?
Let's.
Would you like super wild card week primer?
Got
some stats.
Does it involve wind chill?
Got some game. Yeah, the coldest game ever, maybe.
Yeah, we're going to be letting it go.
They're saying.
Queen Elsa is going to be playing quarterback.
So we'll get to that next on The Fan. misfire.
Is that
That's
how
a
we're-
misfire.
Is that how we're moving on?
That was Aaron Rodgers, which I don't even think we're going to get to that.
That guy.
You
know it's
because
bad.
we have so much to talk about.
You just know it's bad when Pat McAfee decides that you're too extra.
Yeah, but then he brought him on the next day.
No, but he's done now.
But he brought him on. He said he was done, and he brought him on the next day. Did you know that?
But now he's done.
Now he's done for good.
He always ends at the end of his regular
Yeah.
football season, and then
Right.
it's random bringbacks. Aaron
Is that
ain't
what
going
it-
anywhere.
Yeah, right. That's what it is. It was the end of the season, and so it's like, okay, we're done. Plus, there's a lot of heat, so we'll see you next year. And then and then Belichick retires. He's like, oh, come on back. Anyway, who cares about that? It's wild card weekend, bros.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
It's super wild card week.
It is super wild card weekend,
That's
bros. I mean, let's go. So I went back and watched something today, and I think it's interesting. I want you to pull it up on your computer over there. Go back and watch the Dez Bryant catch, no catch,
Okay.
and tell me what you think. It's interesting to watch it now because this sort of the definition of what is or isn't a catch now
It's an ever evolving thing.
has changed so much. Go watch it and
Looking
tell
at
me.
it, I pulled it up right now.
Because of course that was
Packers.
Green Bay and Dallas, and they're playing again this weekend.
And
but
that was in Lambeau, if I'm not mistaken. And this one is in
that was a huge play.
Jerry's World.
Green Bay won the game. Dallas. I mean, at the time we all thought, oh, that's a catch. They got screwed. Watch it. Are you watching it?
I'm looking at it. See, this is the YouTube. Be
Yeah.
better. So it says
Ads.
the Dez Bryant catch, but when you pull it up, it's the whole game. No, I don't want the whole game. Just give me
Well,
the.
go ahead and watch the whole game. We'll wait.
All right. So I found one here. I'm waiting for. an
Yeah,
ad
just
and
watch
then-
it. Anyway, it's interesting to watch now.
Do you
because-
think? Because when I look back, in my mind,
Yeah.
and I haven't seen this
Right.
thing in years. It
Okay.
happened in 2014. In
Yeah.
my mind, it was 100% a catch.
Yes, me too. But after watching it,
Now you're saying you go no catch.
I think so. That's why I wanted your opinion on that
Okay, I'm watching.
because things have changed so much.
Well, yeah, we get the whole definition of what is or isn't a catch.
Yeah. Well, anyway, Packers and Cowboys at it again. Dak. You want a Dak stat? I got Dak stats.
Give me
for
the
you,
Dak.
bro.
Give me the Dak.
Dak Prescott against the spread when favored by 6 or more, 30, 13, and 1.
Ooh, tasty. So he's beating up on the little engine that could.
He beats bad teams.
And they're favored by what, 7.5?
It's down to 7.
Down to 7?
Those guys at home,
They don't lose.
there's something different about them at home.
16 in a row, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so there's a little number for you. Plus, they're saying Stephon Gilmore will play. As a matter of fact, Dallas, it sounds like their entire starting 22 is intact.
Which never happens.
Never.
No,
At this point.
They're a mash unit. They're
Isn't
like
that crazy?
they're like the 49ers. At the end of the season, they're never healthy.
And then Jair Alexander and Christian Watson are both questionable for Green Bay.
Yeah.
Who is pretty banged up. So I think Dallas is going to score a lot of points. That's how I feel about that game.
Boy, I am now. I'm
It's not a catch, is it?
I think it is.
You do?
I don't ever see it hit the ground. I think
Well,
his
at the end,
forearm's
it does.
under the ball. I don't know.
That's not a catch.
Let me just say for the record, I am, and
You are on the record.
I am always biased. I absolutely hate how difficult they make catches.
Yes, I agree.
To me, if it is close, and you're like, is it? And that is the definition of close. Give him the catch. It's an amazing effort, and it is right on the razor's edge. To me, I understand where you're going. In today's game,
It doesn't look like a catch.
It doesn't look like a catch, but my bias says that's a catch.
Okay, but we've evolved though to the place
I don't
where
think that's a catch.
we've evolved to the place where we have defined better what a catch is. I know it's annoying because it's longer, like the football moves and that whole thing.
Yeah.
But they have better defined what is or isn't a catch.
I hate to admit it because I don't want to side with you, but
You never do.
if I watched that today and they're doing the little booth review, I'd probably be like, damn it, that's coming back. You know what's really bad is if you want to go back and I'm sure you can, there's a compilation of these on YouTube, but go back and watch some of the catches that were, big Super Bowl catches from the 80s and 90s. And you're like, oh my God, in no way is that a catch. It's not even close. And that's how it used to be. Like if at one point, if the ball touched your hand and then you fell to the ground, and then it rolled around, and you picked it back up. Like, that's a touchdown. We've gone too far the other way though. Where like
think so?
Yeah, I think it's a bit ridiculous. We had one of these and I know it's apples to oranges, but in hockey now you can review a bunch of stuff. And the other day the Edmonton Oilers were playing and there was an offsides call. They reviewed it for almost 15 minutes. And Connor McDavid, who's the best player in hockey, said, dude, if you have to spend 15 minutes zooming in on something to find every little angle to say that was offsides, maybe we don't need to do that. And it was an amazing play and let the guy have the goal. And I get it. It was his team, but there's a little bit of me that goes into that. Like if you have to spend 10 minutes zooming in and be like, it's maybe did a,
Well, it shouldn't take that long, but I think you should be able to review what is or isn't a catch. I mean, and there's an ultimate czar upstairs and he looks at it and goes, you know what? That is or isn't.
Yeah.
I don't see why you can't review it. But then that slows the game down more and people like you bitch. And
I'm not bitching. I'm just saying
you're talking about the time length. I mean, I don't think there's any reason to say you shouldn't review it. At the same time, yes, 15 minutes is that's absurd.
I don't want to admit that you're right, but you are right. That is in today's world, that is not a catch. And I hate that it's not because I think that's an amazing play and that should be a touchdown in one of the biggest games of the year. I want to see
Except that he didn't catch it.
He did. He caught it.
The ball moved on the ground then he had to re-grab it.
That's right.
That's why it's
exactly
not a catch.
right.
He had to re-grab it.
If you watch it all the way through to the end, you're like, oh yeah, that's not a catch.
He caught it. Give him the catch.
Plus he was down at the one anyways.
Andy's a douche.
He is a dude. Do we factor in that? He's a likable guy. We give him the touchdown. But
I like the Packers more than the Cowboys.
Yeah, but that's a great stat. 30 and you say like 30?
13 and 1, Dak, against the spread.
Well, I'll tell you what. I do not like giving up 7.5 points in playoff games.
It's 7.
Well, 7, yeah. I don't like
that's
that.
different. That's different than 7.
The hook. I don't like giving it up, but
all right. I've got more You want more wild card weekends, super wild card weekend stats?
Oh, I love my super wild card
I've got
stats.
more. And why are we not all behind Joe Flacco? I mean, let's go.
I am against Joe Flacco.
What?
Yeah, you heard me.
It's 4:03 on the Fan. Kalen DeBoer to Alabama. We'll have more on that with Joey Harrington, who joins us at 5:30 for his weekly visit. Let me get through some other numbers I have here for these games. I was mentioning Joe Flacco. Well, by the way, do we like a playoffs with both the Browns and the Lions in it? Do we like that?
Well, the Lions, yes. You know
like
me.
that?
I will never root for that soulless organization that is the Cleveland Browns ever again.
But isn't it wild how just switching out the quarterback can completely change how you may feel about a team? It sounds like you don't like the Browns anyway, but Deshaun Watson, no.
Yeah.
Joe Flacco, throwing for $300 a game? Yes, please. I love that.
Yeah, and people are doing songs about him now. It's a bit much.
It's
for
a good
me.
story.
Yeah, I'm over it.
I mean, seriously, the
away,
Jets
Joe.
didn't even want him.
Go away, Joe Flacco.
Dude.
Go away.
The Jets.
Yeah,
The Jets are like, yeah, no, we'll just stick with Zach Wilson. And the Browns are like, no, we'll take you. And he's slinging it. Stupid Jets.
But I hate now the armchair quarterback douchebags that somehow think that Joe Flacco was the hidden gem all along and that everyone should have been on board. Joe Flacco sucked when he was the starter the last handful of years.
Well, how does he do it then? I mean,
the guys go on runs and he's got a good team around him. But again, the Cinderella story for me sometimes, it's like, dude, just lighten up here. And I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. And
you're such a jerk.
now Detroit, let's go.
Okay.
I'm all aboard the Motor City Kitties.
All right, I have 4 quarterbacks here, A, B, C, and D, okay? And these quarterbacks all only started 5, 6, 7 games. Actually, one started 8, but they started between 5 and 8 games this year. Okay. You guess who is who.
All right.
Okay, I've got quarterback A who had 6 starts. Now, he went 5-1, but his quarterback rating was only 84, 7 tutties, 4 picks. Okay?
Okay.
I've got quarterback B, who had 5 starts, went 4-1, 13 tutties, 8 picks, quarterback rating of 90. Now we've got quarterback C. 8 starts, 3-5, but 10 tutties, 5 picks, 89 QBR.
All right, so all pretty
Close.
close.
And then quarterback D had 7 starts. He has a 98 QBR, so the best QBR of the 4. He went 4-3 with 12 tutties and 7 picks. Can you name any or all of those guys?
Well, one of them is going to be Flacco.
Correct. Which one do you think is Flacco?
Flacco be the first one.
Nope.
No? Where's Flacco then?
Flacco's the second guy.
And what was his record? Because he's
QBR of 90 and a record of 4-1.
4-1.
Who do you think the first one was? 5-1, but a QBR of 84. He had the lowest QBR of any of these guys.
5-1. Who came in? It wouldn't be Murray because
He didn't come in. He started the season.
He started and then got hurt.
That's Watson. I'll just help you out.
That's
Deshaun Watson.
Really?
So Joe Flacco, 90 QBR. Deshaun Watson, 84 QBR. Okay, so those two are out of the way. So you got the other two guys. One guy's 3-5, QBR 89, and the other guy's 4-3, QBR 98. And it's interesting how we talk about guys because that's the exercise here.
Cousin was around longer than 8 games, so it wouldn't be him.
Late season.
Late season, I'm trying to think of who came in because no one came in for Tampa. Baker's been there. It wouldn't be anyone down in New Orleans.
Kyler Murray.
I was going to say one of those may have been Kyler Murray.
Kyler Murray, 89 QBR, 8 starts, 3-5. Now, this is the fun one. 4-3, 12 tutties, 7 picks, 98 QBR.
Boy, that seems odd that he has such a high QBR, even though the touchdowns and interceptions aren't great, the wins and losses aren't that great.
His completion percentage was good. Played well.
He played well. Who came in and played? Is that like a Dobbs? But he fell apart. He had horrible Mason Rudolph, perhaps.
No, that's a good guess though.
Because
it's along those lines.
He only played a couple games.
Rudolph is 3-0.
Is he really?
Yeah.
They haven't lost with him?
Yeah, I don't think they've lost with him.
He came in at Christmas and he's led them to victory, much like a different Rudolph.
Oh, are we going with Jake Browning?
Jake Browning.
Yeah.
How about that? I mean, seriously, if I told you at the start of the year, I'm going to lay out Deshaun Watson, or maybe 2 years ago, or maybe last year, I don't know.
Sure.
I'm going to lay out Kyler Murray and Deshaun Watson's numbers, and the 2 better quarterbacks will be Joe Flacco and Jake Browning. I want you to think about that.
It's impossible.
It's insane.
Yes.
That's why I love the NFL.
Absolutely insane. But this is the hard part about the NFL. And no offense to Flacco or anyone else, but we do this all the time. That's why I brought up Dobbs. We do it with DeVito. We do it with Browning. We do it with all these guys. 99 times out of 100, those guys all come crashing down in just a meteoric fall. and explode. Like,
Well, it might be tomorrow for Flacco. I don't know.
it's possible.
Houston's good.
Which is why I always just kind of, I always say this about quarterbacks. Can we just stop with the, hey, he had 4 games, and so it's like, oh, he's going to be great.
Well,
and vice versa. If a guy stinks for 4 games.
I view it the other way. I just say give him credit.
Yes.
You're not wrong. No one's saying that. We're just saying, hey, how about it's a cool story. Joe Flacco for 4 games or however long it lasts. That's pretty awesome.
Where Cleveland was with all of their quarterback injuries, it was like Cleveland is done. And yes, Joe Flacco was the savior of that team.
Now they're favored.
And yeah, and it's not even that Flacco is game managing. Flacco is actually out there. So normally when you get these guys, it's like, the Daniel Jones thing, right? Hand the ball off 30 times a game. You're going to throw the ball 12 times a game. We need you to go 8 for 12. You're going to, and don't lose us the game. Flacco is back there slinging it. And Flacco is back there throwing the ball downfield, and you're like, well, I'll be damned, Joe Flacco. But I just always go back to, there's a reason why Flacco was out of the league. Like, did everyone miss on him? But every now and then, Kurt Warner was basically done. Remember, he was like in New York and everything, and he ended up at Arizona, and Matt Leinart sucked, and they gave Kurt Warner another shot, and Kurt Warner led him to the doorsteps of a Super Bowl. So it does happen. And wouldn't that be something if Joe Flacco won a 2nd Super Bowl, being out of the league?
That would be crazy.
It'd be insane. Absolutely insane. Or Mason, any of these guys that
Mason Rudolph, he's not winning a Super Bowl.
I don't think so either. But how about Rex Grossman got to a Super Bowl? Who was Jake Delhomme got to a Super Bowl? Stan Humphries got to a Super Bowl. You can get to Super Bowls being.
Is Mason Rudolph even in those?
No, he's not. But I'm just saying.
He would be I'm sorry. If Mason Rudolph goes to the Super Bowl, that's the worst quarterback ever to start a Super Bowl. And you don't even have to go through the quarterbacks. Dude, that guy's 3rd string.
Yes. I'm looking to see who's the worst Super Bowl quarterback. Worst QB.
I mean, Grossman is. You mentioned Grossman. I mean, we've done that. I mean, people do. Yeah. Hostetler, Grossman.
Tony Eason started one.
Ooh.
Like, I don't want to go back into like the.
Yeah, because nothing happened before 1980. Am I right, Will Ortner?
Yeah.
That's when electricians and plumbers were playing.
God.
Like, I have a hard time. Like, I remember the Tony Eason. He was the quarterback when the 85 Bears played. Yeah. I have a hard time going back to someone that played in 1974. I don't know. So I can only go with the.
Find me a worse one, okay? You do that, and when we come back, I have more stats for Super Wildcard Weekend. Could be the coldest game ever.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
Yeah, I did know that.
-1.
But don't worry.
In Kansas City.
Someone's not going to wear sleeves.
It's 417 on the Fan. We've got 4 matchups of quarterbacks where one guy is making his first playoff start. Since 2002, first-time playoff quarterbacks are 33% against the spread.
Okay.
Against quarterbacks with experience.
So that would obviously be C.J. Stroud.
Yep.
This is Tua's first, right?
This is Tua's first.
Tua's first because he was hurt last year. Rudolph will be his first.
Yep.
Jordan Love will be his first.
There you go. Those are your 4.
That's the 4.
17, 35, and 1 against the spread, if that matters to you.
I mean, look, that's a pretty good trend. I mean, obviously, spread doesn't mean winning and losing the game. Does it say what it is straight up?
No.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, look, and of those, who do you trust? And some of these are so funky. No offense, but how do I judge Tua in this game?
Yeah.
The Buffalo one, by the way, is worse. I know it's going to be colder in Kansas City, and that's fine. I've played in very cold weather. I've mentioned the coldest game I ever played in, we played at Colorado State, and I think it was -6 at kick. And that's Fort Collins, right? Yeah. I think it was -6 at kick, and then the snow started coming, and then the wind picked up, and we melted. We folded like a pair of twos. And I've never been more miserable in my life. My team quit. I admitted it. They embraced it. We did not. And we played in a place that it's cold in Provo. I'm telling you, when it gets that cold and things start going your way, it's real easy to cry in your tears that freeze. And so I don't know how to judge Tua in that game. He could go out. You're not going to be able to throw the ball for crap in that game. So is that really on Tua if he loses that?
Here's Tua's numbers. Okay, so they're saying -1 degrees.
Yes.
In Kansas City.
-20 plus when the wind chill is factored in.
Here are Tua's numbers in NFL games with a kickoff temperature of 45 degrees or colder.
And there's a big difference between -1 and 44.
Exactly. He's 0-4, 4 tutties, 5 turnovers, passer rating of 71, completion percentage of 56%.
He doesn't have the biggest hands in the world. The ball that is anyone, if anyone has ever played, Will, did you ever play in a game, and you're not a center, you're not a quarterback, but did you ever play in a game that was 0 degrees or something like that, single digits?
Yes, my bowl game that I played in, and I actually was playing center in that game. You can attest. I'm telling you, the ball becomes slicker than snot because it turns into an absolute boulder, and the ball you can't hold it. Even as a center, it's really hard to snap, let alone as a quarterback to try to throw it. And good luck as a receiver catching that Charlie Huff knuckleball coming at you. This isn't football. And I understand we all love the cold weather games, but it's not a good indicator of who's the better team. And it's going to be even worse in Buffalo. Buffalo isn't going to be as cold. They are saying, though, in Buffalo that there are going to be wind gusts of 60 miles an hour.
I know. And the thing about Buffalo, I heard somebody talking about this that goes to Buffalo games a lot.
Yeah.
And they said, here's the thing about that stadium. It's right on a lake.
Yep.
And they said that you can't just look at Buffalo weather. You have to look at the direction of the wind off the lake. And if that wind is coming in off that lake, or I don't know the specifics of it, but it's more specific than just looking at the Buffalo weather.
That specific area.
It's right there, and they said that when it's bad, you're absolutely right. We're expecting Kansas City and Miami to be just kind of it's so cold, they're just running the ball, and we've seen those games before. You saw the Jets Patriots last week in the snow, one of those types of games. Yep. Bills Steelers will be worse. Because of the wind.
Have you seen that the over-under has moved? It is the largest move in football history, the over-under.
What's it at, 34 now?
33 and a half.
Yeah.
And it started out, I think, at 43. But when we've seen this before, it's weird. Remember, we've seen these, occasionally we get these games where depending on which way you go, you can't. And by the way, some of these are in Buffalo. Mm-hmm. If you're going into the wind, it is literally impossible for you to throw the ball.
Right.
And so it's it'll be the end of the third quarter, and they're they have to go into a 2-minute drill right now because they have 2 minutes left of being able to throw the ball. And then once you get to the fourth quarter, throwing the ball is not an option. I can't even fathom what 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. Look, and by the way, you can't kick, you can't punt.
It's built. That sounds like a game that's built for the Steelers. Quite frankly,
I'll tell you what. If you're Pittsburgh, this is your
evening of the playing field for you.
Josh Allen, he may run the ball 52 times. I would just line up and run quarterback power every time. when you're going into the wind. And so that game is 21, but I'll tell you, given my choice between 21 degrees in Buffalo and -1 in Kansas City, I will take the negative Kansas City game over this Buffalo
one.
The windy one.
Miami, by the way, 0-10 overall in its past 10 games with a kickoff temperature below 40 degrees.
Dude, I may just load up a 10-unit bet and just load up.
Well, you don't have any 10 units left, do you?
Oh.
Maybe you have one.
I think I have one left.
You have one.
I'm just gonna load up on my chefs.
Yeah.
Like I
like the Dolphins.
I don't love Kansas City, but I'm not, that's ridiculous.
Only 4 games in NFL history have had below 0 kickoff temperatures.
Yeah.
You have the 1967 Ice Bowl in Green Bay. That's the coldest game ever.
Yep.
Minus 13 degrees.
Some people say it cost them their careers. Their bodies were never the same after that.
1982 AFC Championship in Cincinnati. Yep. They called it the Freezer Bowl.
Chargers, same thing.
-9.
I think Dan Fouts talks about that he got nerve damage in his hands from that one.
And then the 2016 wildcard game in Minnesota, it was -6. And 2008 NFC Championship game in Green Bay was -1.
I think it's criminal that Buffalo doesn't have a dome stadium. I know they all love
They don't want it.
It's so stupid. You need to have a retractable roof. I get that you want to be rough and tumble and cold, but it's just so dumb. You have one of the great throwers of the football in NFL history, at least some arm strength. He's very erratic at times, but you're putting your playoff life on the line right now on a game where you can't throw. It's just you can't throw the ball. It's stupid. It's just absolutely stupid.
They just sent out a memo. For $20 an hour, they will pay you to shovel their stadium.
Yeah. Well, they were talking. There was some rumor that they were moving that game to Cleveland.
Yeah, because there's an idea that if it really is those wind gusts, no one's going to be able to get to the stadium.
Right.
Like if you've ever driven through the gorge or whatnot, when you get 35-mile-an-hour wind gusts, you can't drive. It blows your damn car off the road. I just can't fathom what 60-mile-an-hour winds. I'll tell you what, though. For someone that has embraced the world of punts, I'll be wearing my punt sweatshirt at home. I can't wait to watch that game. I'm all for 74 yards of total offense. Let's go. I'm here for it, but it's not real football.
I don't mind it either. I think it's kind of fun. Bills, by the way, a couple of other stats on that game. Bills 0-9 against the spread last 9 when they're 2-score favorites. They play with their food. They do not.
No, they don't put
kick because Josh Allen will throw 3 picks before he wakes up.
Oh, 100%. He'll make some dumb decisions. He'll fumble the ball once or twice.
But the Steelers are 1-10 in games without TJ Watt.
Well, let me just say this for the record. Pittsburgh isn't any good. It's not a good football team.
And they're giving up 26 points a game.
And they're run by Mason Rudolph. They're not any good. But
10-7.
When you get in a game like this, it always favors the lesser team when you get into these sorts of conditions, when it just gets sloppy and choppy like this. And so maybe that does favor Miami too, who's beaten one good team all year. I think they're a bit of a fraud, but I just don't think if you're from Miami with the Hawaiian quarterback and it's, you can run the ball fine, but I mean, your whole offense is based around creative throwing of the football. That doesn't really speak well. And Mostert's banged up. I think Armstead's back for them. I think he's pricing. I think he's going to give it a whirl, but they don't have linebacker. Their 2 best edge rushers are done for the year. 3 linebackers are done. They're just asking at this point anyone that's ever played linebacker to come in and play for them. And I don't see how Miami. This is going to. I'm already talking myself into it. 10-unit play. I'm loaded up on my Chiefs. What is it? 4.5?
I think it's up to 5.
God damn it.
We'll get to Rop in the Bank at 5:15. Those will be our picks against the spread. One other thing about Chiefs-Dolphins, that game's only on Peacock. Did you know that?
Yeah.
It's the first ever playoff game streaming only.
I forget who it is, but one of the Kansas City guys
he bought Peacock.
Yeah.
He gave 90 away.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
By the way, it's so stupid. That you need Peacock to watch this game. That being said, head east, my friends. Head to the streams of the east. It shall treat you well.
Is that the Mississippi or the Missouri?
Any of those. They all work. They all work. Just saying. Screw you, Peacock. You want me to sign up so that I can watch one game? I don't think so.
All right. In the News is next. It's 4:31. Here's Will.
This is a wild
Friday coming up. Hot 5 at 5. Robbing the Bank. Joey Harrington. Club 1080. Bye.
I looked up that Freezer Bowl, the Cincinnati Chargers game. -59 with wind chill.
Ugh.
Coldest game in NFL history. And Dan Fouts.
Wait, I thought the Ice Bowl was the coldest game in NFL history.
Well, this is -59, so this said it was.
Oh, with wind chill.
Wind chill.
Yeah.
So that was.
I don't know what the wind chill was in Green Bay for that, but
again, the Freezer Bowl. Remember that was it comes off the water just like it does in Buffalo. In Cincinnati, it would come off the river. And Dan Fouts, to this day, I thought this was the case, but there was an article. He gets really bitter about it because he says he still has permanent frostbite damage in his fingertips and his toes just from that game. And that's the other thing too, is to remember, at least in today's game, there's ways to mitigate that. Remember back then, man, they just put on like cotton sweatshirts. Like you didn't have any. Like it just now you have all these high performance fabrics and you have heated hand warmers and the benches and the heaters. It's a lot easier to play in cold weather today than it was back in the 60s and 70s.
I can't remember if it was Kansas City or Buffalo, but they were saying they were going to put up a bunch of heating tents for people.
Yeah,
not just play. I mean, just for fans.
Yeah, warming tents.
All right, it is Jan 11, 2024. Time for In the News. Wait, it's January 12th. Damn it. 2024, time for In the News. I'm your noted newsman here on January 12th. Right. Am I right about that?
That it's January 12th?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the 12th.
It's the 12th.
Yeah.
Why did I say 11th? What is happening to me?
Are you kidding me?
You said yesterday you thought it was Friday. There you got stuck.
Yeah, you're throwing off, man. It happens to the best of us.
It is National Milk Day.
Yeah, I can't tell you the last time I had milk.
It is also Girl Hug Boy Day.
Oh. All right. That doesn't happen to me very often out on the streets. Not many girls just come up and are like, hey, I want to hug you. But,
you go on the wrong street, bro.
That's true.
So we were talking yesterday about this Alaska door plug sitch.
Oh,
That's like every day on In the News we talk about this. There's new news.
There's new plug news.
Well, we were talking about the lawsuit, and there's a attorney from Seattle who's representing a college student who was on there, and that kid is suing.
Yeah.
And the the attorney said, they're in counseling, and this has been really traumatic, and this and that. Okay, so then we thought, well, surely they're going to just do a class action.
Yeah, because everyone's going to want a piece of that. Why wouldn't you?
Exactly. Well, that's what's happened.
Yeah.
But it has also emerged that Alaska Airlines has paid each person on that flight already.
Ooh, what do you get when the door blows out?
What do you think? Take a guess.
100 G's.
Not even close.
No? Less? More?
Well, what do you think?
Well, it's airlines, so I'm going to say they're being a bunch of cheap bastards. So I'll say, like, are they trying to give them, like, 25?
$1,500.
Oh, kiss my rosy red ass.
Cash payments.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
They gave him $1,500.
$1,000.
No, it's $1,500 each.
$1,000. So the plane blew out. I'm traumatized for life. I missed all that. Like, dude, we got $500 from Delta because our plane got delayed leaving Japan, and you're telling me for an extra $1,000 I get to lose the door?
$1,500. Why are you cutting off 33%?
An extra $1,000 because we got $500.
Okay, gotcha. All right, I stand down. Anyway.
Hell yeah. Can I join the class action lawsuit just from being disgusted and now I'm traumatized because I don't want to fly simply because I've seen the videos?
Yeah, so yesterday 6 passengers filed a class action lawsuit against Boeing, claiming the manufacturer owes them and the other 165 passengers compensation for injuries and other harms caused by the incident.
They should. Dude, that thing is,
They're not suing Alaska Airlines, they're suing Boeing.
Yeah, Boeing.
Isn't that interesting?
Well, again, Alaska can say what they want, but again, it's Boeing that built the plane and gave it to Alaska. So,
but Alaska made the call to say, this probably shouldn't fly over water, but land, it's fine.
Boeing has deeper pockets too.
Yeah, but still, Alaska's not.
Well, and look,
why would you say that? Why would you say not over water, but over land's fine?
I know. It does seem a little
Someone
weird.
can get sucked out no matter what's underneath them.
Someone's getting sued, and someone's gonna there's no way that a judge or a jury is gonna look at this and be like, no big deal.
There's gonna be a gravy train of money here.
Yes, and I'm telling you, like, I used to think that, like, I haven't had anything that's like super, like, I don't know, like on an airplane or whatever that left me freaked out, or I was in a really bad car accident and we rolled a car at 80 plus miles an hour. We had one of those tires blow out on us back when that was a thing. And, it's like some of that stuff can have a lingering effect, but like if anyone's ever had anything where it sticks with you, that is like when I got my face bit up by a dog. To this day, I can't have even my dog really get in my face. Like it like my heart, like it just like it starts to hurt and I get a tightness in my chest and I'm like, oh my God, like quit being a jackass. Like, what are you doing? But it's a visceral sort of thing. And I can only imagine, like, if you were sitting anywhere near that thing, how the hell do you get on an airplane? And you're going to tell me that that isn't worth some sort of compensation? Like, I sympathize, and I wasn't always this way, but I sympathize with everyone on that airplane that they deserve some compensation, even though the people that didn't get hurt, because I think that sticks with you possibly forever. That anytime you have to get on an airplane, that will have an effect on your life for the rest of yours.
So we've got one person who suffers from seizures triggered by stressful situations.
Yeah.
He has already said that he had a seizure after he got off the plane.
Yeah.
You have, now what do you think about this one? We have a family member of a passenger who is joining.
No, that's
saying they're claiming emotional.
Now, see, this is
stress.
This is where I draw the line. But if you're on that airplane, you deserve fair compensation.
We also have internal bleeding in one person's ear. We have a concussion. We have soft tissue injuries. What else did they say here?
Did someone pull a hammy? Is that the soft tissue injury?
Well, they're also saying emotional distress, PTSD, comes out many days, sometimes weeks, even months after things happen. So they're urging people not to just,
they sit on it and wait.
Yeah, there's just calm down.
Again, you think it's all fun and dandy until the next time you get on an airplane, and then you're like, you start to get a puckered sphincter and you start sweating bullets, and that's a big deal. There's going to be some people who are going to need some counseling and some serious Xanax after this one. I don't know what that feels like.
I'm going to assume.
Have the freaking door ripped out from you?
Because now I don't want to get on an Alaska flight. And you're depriving me of my travel. So
Class
they
action,
should give
baby.
me money.
Let's go. Unless Rob's on the jury, then as someone says, Rob says no money for them. None.
No, that's not what I said. What I said was, I said this yesterday, there is going to be a gravy train of money, and I would, if I were on that plane, have my hand out.
Yeah.
Okay. The problem that I have is people faking how
bad it
traumatic it was for them.
Yeah. That's true.
I hate that. Just say, look, this is class action. I'm joining it. I'm doing it because, somebody needs to pay, and why not me? I was on the flight. Yeah. But let's not act like everyone on that flight was so traumatized that their life is different.
It's like when someone falls outside of a restaurant or whatever, and I get it, falls suck, but then it's like, I may have only bruised my hip, but I also now have spinal cord problems, and it's like every possible. I'm like, dude, that. You're making stuff up. You're making something 10 times worse. Yes, you should be compensated because you fell and you needed to go to rehab for your hip or whatever, but yes, everyone plays it up to get as much money as humanly possible.
You got to walk in with the Petrino neck brace.
Yes.
But I mean, so if you were, if like you were on that flight, and there are videos of people just sitting there calmly.
Yeah.
Not to say that that's not stressful. I'm just saying, there are probably a lot of people on that flight that
weren't that affected.
Yeah, they're not that affected by it. They're like, wow, that was a close call.
Yeah.
But they should still get money. I just don't like the it's like the Michael Penix.
Yes.
I'm dying. You're not dying. You played in a football game, and you're going to be fine.
You're going to be all right.
So that's what bothers me about it. But those people should all get way more than $1,500, I would say. Oh, they're also saying that the oxygen masks that came down, a lot of them weren't working.
Oh.
That's a problem. Yeah. And tell me how Alaska is not. I guess that could be pinned on Boeing too, but
I guess.
I don't know, man. I think I'd sue them all.
I just know that the airlines are getting ready to have a nice fat payout. There's no way these guys aren't getting some coin.
All right.
Nice try, though, with the $1,500.
Yeah, it was a nice try.
Yeah,
well, that's what I said yesterday. I said, why wouldn't Alaska just take 100 G's? You guessed 100 G's.
Yeah.
I think take 100,000, pay everybody there, make them sign something, Many of them wouldn't, but some of them would, where just say, I won't sue, 100 G's good.
Yeah.
Just do that.
Yeah.
That'll save you money.
100 G's, bunch of flight coupons, and just...
Although Alaska's probably just going to start pointing the finger at Boeing now.
Probably.
They're like, we did nothing wrong.
Well, and that's unfortunately the part in dealing with these giant corporations is they don't fear legal things. They're just like, hey, we got attorneys.
Yeah.
We're all right. Yeah, we'll fight this out in court.
All right.
Because you know who's going to get paid in this whole thing? The lawyers.
Of course.
You know.
That's what they're there for. Arctic Blast, next on The Fan.
It's time for
Arctic Blast is here.
Didn't it get bumped though? Aren't we blasting later?
Well, it's already begun because we're already at 28 degrees. The temperature has been falling all day, and now tonight they're saying it could be down to 13 degrees.
It's a little chilly, but the snow's not coming till later.
So let's go out and play a football game.
I'll pass. Dude, playing in the cold weather sucks.
Yeah, they're saying sub-zero wind chill tonight and then blowing snow tomorrow. But you can't really get a good read on how much snow there's going to be.
How about this?
2 to 6 inches, possibly.
I'm going to sit in my house. I have I got a bottle of new Irish whiskey and bourbon that I have yet to break out. I've got a cigar, wood to burn, and NFL games to watch. I see no reason
what a great weekend.
to leave my house under any circumstances.
I know we're not here Monday. We have a company holiday.
Nope.
So we have 3 straight, and I'm with you. I have nothing on the calendar. I don't want anything on the calendar.
Nope.
I'm going to drink, be warm, and watch football.
I may for the first time break down in Uber Eats. I've never Uber Eated. But this may be one of those where, although my kid's back, so I'll make him go get it.
In the snow?
Yeah, screw him.
Is he okay with snow?
Yeah, we got a Bronco, and
Snow driving?
there's plenty of restaurants within like 2 minutes of us.
Watch
driving.
it not snow.
I gotta come in for a Pilots game.
Oh my God.
Tomorrow?
I've already been informed I need to be here.
What time?
7 p.m.
I'll be thinking about you.
I bet you
brutal.
won't.
No, I will. I'll think about you and laugh. Like that. I'll laugh like that. Might even laugh like Ron Pivo.
Boy, I'll tell you what, Will, it sucks to be on the totem pole down there because I'm not driving in for a Pilots game. I'm not driving in for jack squat. Suki, we need you on the weekend. Yeah, well, good luck with that. Why don't you pick a time and don't tell me? That way we'll both be surprised when I don't show
How many
up.
people listen to those Pilots games?
Oh, I'm sure.
A lot on campus, I think.
For the tones of Jason Swigart? I mean, come on.
He calls a good game. Him and Joel Sabatka, they do a good job.
Well, it's supposed to be cold on Sunday and Monday, but dry. So the snow is supposed to be tomorrow. If it doesn't come tomorrow, they're saying that Sunday and Monday just be cold.
Yeah.
So
well,
that's where we're at.
At this point in my life, I don't need the snow.
Who cares?
I'm past the winter wonderland thing. Just don't, and I don't even care about the snow. Don't give me the ice.
But it's also awesome. Okay, this is a rarity, and you may not agree with this, because I would rarely say this. But I think it's awesome that it's on a weekend, because
yeah, you don't have to do the commute.
Yeah, you just don't have to deal with the commute crap, and then you can just stay inside and watch football.
I'm with you.
You know, it's like, and we're coming off the holidays, so everyone's kind of trying to lay low anyway right now, and so it's just a good weekend for it to be crappy out.
I'm with you, because if you are during the week, then you got to deal with, are we going in or are we not going in?
Yeah.
Us with the commute home, it's like, God, you got to get over the bridge. Yeah,
Pain
I'm
in
with
the
you.
ass.
I'm with you. There's no reason to leave the house. None. And that's magical. Maybe I'll just go stock up on like Little Caesars pizzas.
Yeah.
And just like put them in.
A little hot and ready.
I'll get a little hot and ready tonight and just prepare for the apocalypse and just have it.
What are
ready to go.
they charging for my hot and readies now?
Aren't they like-
$9?
I thought they were still 5.
I think they've gone up.
Yeah, I think it's gone up too.
I think it's like $8.
$9.49.
$9.49?
Yep, $9.49, guys. Might have to look for a new
Not
pizza.
paying that.
Hey, we got a pizza oven for I got one for, well, the kids and I got one for Nurse Nice for Christmas.
You'll never use it?
Oh my God, we just used it the other night. It is effing fantastic.
Really?
Absolutely fantastic. Dude, those pizzas, you put them in there for like 10 seconds.
And it's any pizza.
What do you mean? Well, you make the pizza.
Oh, you make the
Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a pizza oven.
Yeah.
But it's just it's an uni. Oh my God.
Oh, I've seen the metal ones kind of.
They're great, small.
Yeah.
You can move them around.
When's the last time you made pizza? You're saying your wife?
the other night.
Your wife made pizza.
Well, she makes the actual pizza,
Yeah.
and then I'm the one that grills it. You know, come on, gender roles, man. I take it out there and put it in there. But I'm telling you, dude, I left the first one in there for maybe 5 seconds too long, and I burnt it. Those things go fat. I mean, they're awesome.
Yeah.
I highly recommend
Now
them.
I'm kind of jealous here. Oh, and I'd like to point out that while the Little Caesar, the price has gone up, with that pizza, 99-cent crazy bread.
Yeah, that's always been the case.
$11.
And you're
$11 for a pizza and crazy bread?
You are an idiot if you go to Little Caesars and get a hot and ready and do not get crazy bread.
Yeah, what are you doing?
And then if you get crazy bread, you're a psycho if you don't get at least 2, if not 3 of the sauces.
Yeah.
Crazy bread survived inflation. It's like that and the Jack in the Box
Well, I think-
tacos are the only things that have stayed the exact same
That's how they
price.
lure you.
It just it just goes to show you how cheap that is. Like, fine, you can still have it for
some
$1.
crazy bread.
Just pay $10 for a pizza.
Yeah, if you pay $10 for a pizza, you get the crazy bread for 99 cents.
Dude, that's such a great deal.
Because the crazy bread on its own is like $6-7.
Could be some power outages too.
Oh yeah.
So they're saying.
That's not good.
No, that's not good. I would not like that. Because then what? How do we watch football? What do we do? Our phones?
Don't even. I don't want to think about that. Can you imagine you're sitting down, you got your little Caesars or you got your little pizza oven ready. You can't cook in the pizza oven. That's electric.
No, it's not electric.
What
you
is
just
it?
rocket fire pellets.
Oh,
fire up the
it's a
pellets.
pellet one.
Yeah.
Oh, but then you got to go outside in the winter storm to cook it.
Don't mind it. I'll just be drunk.
Could I set it on top of, like, if I folded my hot tub over, could I just sit on top of the hot tub, sit in the hot tub while I cook my pizza?
You could.
Now we're talking.
You could, because it's got legs. It won't burn the bottom. I mean, we set it on just like the outdoor patio table.
See, now we're talking. Let's
Dude,
go.
you could do that.
It's the only reason I'm going outside at all.
But you got to get it out of there quick.
Yeah.
You got to be pretty nimble with the dough, you know, the whole thing. There's an art to it. I love it.
All right, so fingers crossed.
All right.
Power stays on.
Yeah. Let's get to the Hot 5 at 5 coming up next. Hey, did Kalen DeBoer take the Alabama job?
And some of the players and parents are speaking out, and it's not rosy for Mr. DeBoer.
Well, it's also a bad look for just, I don't know, man.
Yeah, it's not. It's the team meeting.
Bad look for Husky Nation.
The team meeting did not have great attendance, according to one Cam Cleveland.
Everybody's butt hurt.
25% showed up.
All right, well, the Hot 5 at 5 is next. We will have Rop in the Bank, our picks against the spread for playoffs, and then Joey Harrington. That's our next hour on The Fan.
Attention.
I'm Rob. That's Suk.
Dipping temps.
Sub, bro.
I guess the snow has hit Salem. I'm hearing reports down there, so could be coming.
Will Ortner is over there. He's been quiet today.
What's up, dude?
Well, Klondike Will
you guys have been talking.
Klondike Will Ortner is not fazed by the weather. He will come in, rain, sleet, snow. It's like the post office of the fan. He'll be here.
I gotta pay rent somehow.
That's right. Yes, he sleeps on the couch.
It's happened twice.
Coming up tonight in the club, do you know who's playing the Super Bowl halftime?
I do remember this being announced. And I'm trying to... I don't know off the top of my head. I think I forgot.
Right.
I remember it being somewhat underwhelming.
Well, I'll remind you. And I need to ask you a question because I am shockingly unfamiliar with their works.
You?
Shockingly.
Oh, well, last year was
because my wife was chastising me for this today.
Will I be familiar?
You should.
Is it a young person?
Well, it's from your heyday. I mean,
buddy, I'm in my heyday.
It's from his heyday?
Well,
my heyday is continuing.
It's like 26.
I know, but well, you might be a little young then. I don't know. I'm totally unfamiliar, and it's quite shocking. My wife chastised me for it greatly today. So we'll get to that. That's in the club. Joey Harrington, 5:30. We'll talk to him about Dan Lanning staying, Kalen DeBoer going. Right. Oh, and then Roppin' the Bank is next.
Yeah.
I've already got Buck's picks, and there's a bunch of exotics in there.
Good old Buck, who at some point is coming back.
Well,
at least he's not dead.
He told me today he's back in 2 weeks, and he said he was pissed at me. I said, for Roppin' the Bank, the only picks that get counted are the picks that air.
Yes.
Okay, you can't just... Because last week, he sent me his picks after the segment.
Oh.
And we didn't air them. And that's what I told him. I said, the bank was not open, bitch. And he's like, well, that sucks. I went I went 5-1. I'm like, I don't care. You sent them after the segment.
Tough cookies, man. We got strict deadlines here.
Very similar to Ortner crying yesterday. He's like, oh, I'm so good, and I win all these.
I was defending myself from your...
On the show, acts. Will Ortner is 0-3. That's it.
Went 3-0 yet?
Fact, 0-3.
Sorry, Will. You're when the lights shine brightest, you got to show up, Michael Penix.
It's sad that you guys are quoting old and ancient history instead of quoting the new history. You're quoting textbook edition.
So we got a lot of
12.
babies on this segment.
Seriously.
Hey, show up,
exactly.
make some picks,
own your ass,
have some winners, and win the season.
I went through like a horrid 4-week stretch there. You didn't hear
and
me,
guess
bitch.
what?
I'm back up.
You're back up.
Yeah.
You've won both of your 10 unit plays.
Yeah.
And I think, well, let me just check. I'll tell you. Yeah, in terms of units, none of us are great.
No.
But you're leading the way.
Yeah, I'm back up in the plus. Yeah, Will, so just shut up and deal with it.
So shut up.
Fucking Gen Millennial, whatever the hell you are.
I'm Gen Z, and I'm 3-0, you ancients.
You guys shut up.
Shut up.
Hey, will you shut up?
We are ancients, though. I'll own that.
No, 100%.
All right, the Hot 5 at 5.
Hey, will you shut up?
Hey, shut up. Hot topics, hot opinions,
Oh, Charlie, I'm hot today.
and hot air. It's time for the Hot 5 at 5.
That's hot.
The Hot 5 at 5 on Primetime with Isaac and Sue.
No, I mean it. That's very hot.
The Hot 5 at 5 with Isaac and Sue. Brought to you on The Fan by Victor Rico's Mexican Food, the most popular burrito spot in Oregon. Online at victorricos.com. Number 5.
Well, I got to get some Zers in here.
Do you?
Actually, it's a good point. I don't.
Let's do it anyways because I won't be on Robbing the Bank, but they're playing the Timberwolves tonight in the 7th game of their road trip where they've been outscored by like 190 points. You couldn't set that high enough for me. I think it's 16.5. Load up, baby. I'm taking the Timberwolves.
They're the BetQL 5-star play of the day.
Minnesota?
No, the Blazers.
Screw that.
Well, I can see why they say that because when you lose by 62 the night before, the line will never be higher. Like
I don't care.
The value is Portland tonight. And let me tell you something. I will never bet them.
Let me just point this. On this road trip, minus the Brooklyn game, which they won in overtime, they have lost to the Mavericks 126-97, 139-103, to the Knicks 112-84, and 139-77. And the Timberwolves have the best record in the West, second best in the NBA.
You know what I'm doing? I'm doing Blazers money line tonight.
Number 4.
Shock the world.
I will gladly load up against the BetQL 5-star pick of the week.
Commanders have a new GM. Oh, by the way, so the Blazers lost to Oklahoma City last night. They're playing Minnesota tonight. Okay. Commanders have a new GM. They go with the Niners guy. He's the assistant GM in San Francisco. His name is Adam Peters. He started as a scout with the Patriots. He worked in the Broncos front office. He actually won Super Bowls at both of those spots.
All right.
He was hired by the Niners in 2017, and he's a handsome fella.
People are kind of high on this, the Josh Harris guy. People think that Washington's got a chance to, because it's not a bad roster. Need a quarterback, and they'll get one of those in the draft if they hit on that. There's some people that think that this Washington job is pretty tasty for, the new GM and the coach.
Get rid of Dan Snyder. Good things happen.
Yeah. I still don't understand the whole Bill Belichick thing with people, but.
In other Bay Area news, the Giants of baseball have signed fireballer Jordan Hicks, 4-year deal, and they're saying that he will enter their rotation.
Oh, yeah.
And Marcus Stroman went to the Yankees. I don't know if you saw that.
I did not see that.
A lot of sneaky baseball moves right now.
3.
Well, the weather looks ice cold in Kansas City for Chiefs-Dolphins tomorrow. They're saying -1 degrees, but wind and snow expected in Buffalo for Bills-Steelers. Rumors of the game being moved to Cleveland, at least so far, are false. Buffalo will be without receiver Gabe Davis and safety Taylor Rapp. They were both hurt against Miami last week. Dallas will have Stephon Gilmore and Tyler Smith. Their entire starting 22 is intact. The Packers list Jair Alexander and Christian Watson questionable.
The Cowboys only have one person on their entire IR list.
And it's their backup quarterback.
Yeah, Cooper Rush. And
why? How's he hurt?
He's sick.
Oh, what a bitch.
He's the only one. He's questionable with an illness. So, look, you get to this point in the year, health is a big deal. And Dallas doesn't lose at home, and that's as healthy as you can be minus Cooper Rush. That's good news for the Cowboys. Especially if Watson and Alexander can't go.
Patriots' new coach is Gerard Mayo. It has been reported for quite some time that it's even in his contract that he would be Bill Belichick's successor. So
coaching win.
The Mike Vrabel thing kind of threw a wrench into that, but Robert Kraft sticking to his guns. Gerard Mayo was the coach in waiting, and he is taking over. Of course, he played in New England, and he's been one of Belichick's top assistants since 2019. He will now be the youngest coach in the NFL at age 37.
Oh, can't say I knew that. 30s. Well, I mean, McVay and all those guys, they were, but I guess they've.
Well, those guys are 80 now.
Yeah,
he's got McVay by a month.
They've grown up a little bit.
McVay's only 37.
The only thing that scares me about Mayo, and look, a lot of this will be who you hire for your personnel guy. And with this roster, you don't have Pro Bowls on your offense at all. It just scares me a little bit that Mayo is a culture guy, and it's the culture of Bill Belichick, where. Dude, and to this day and age, dude, give me a guy that builds an offense. Give me a guy that builds a defense. Give me an X's and O's savant. That scares me a little bit if I'm New England. I'm just chasing the past with a Bill disciple. I don't like that.
Number 1.
And number 1, Washington football coach Kalen DeBoer is leaving. He will be the new coach at Alabama. UW tried to keep him. They offered him 7 years and over $9 million per year, but this one apparently not about money. Adding insult to injury, the Huskies lose Dylan Johnson and Rome Odunze. Both are turning pro, and 2 of their corners, including star Jabbar Muhammad, have already announced that they are transferring.
Yeah, and now you're getting a lot of speculation that DeBoer didn't sign the contract extension because he knew he had one foot out the door. Maybe that's why he wasn't recruiting quite as well. Cam Cleland reported, former fan great, Cam reported that about 25% of the team even bothered to show up to the meeting where DeBoer announced you're now getting some players that are coming out on social media and taking shots. The father of the Otten brothers, Cade Otten, the tight end for Tampa Bay, his brother is on that team, and the Otten family is kind of a legendary Washington family. Their grandfather was Sid Otten that ran Tumwater for years and years, one of the finest programs in Washington. They're kind of like a royalty in Washington football. Their grandfather came out and had a lovely statement today saying that DeBoer is a good man, but basically if anyone ever brings up culture, family, or loyalty from any coach again, I'll throw up in my mouth. It means spit in college football. So, I mean, you see this all the time, but there seems to be a lot of hurt feelings and this idea that this is really going to set Washington back
See, I think
a bit.
That's the biggest thing.
This is a dark day.
They're really pissed at how far back they're going to be set, especially compared to Oregon.
Yeah.
That's the root of this. How could you be so mad at a coach who leaves your school for Alabama after playing in the national championship game? Like, you don't think that's a possibility? Alabama?
Yeah.
Why are they so pissed at him?
I think it was the idea is that there is now a belief, like I said, and you brought this up, and now you're starting to see more people, and we don't know, and we'll never know, but you brought up the idea, and it's gaining a lot of traction, that Jimmy Sexton was planning this for the better part of a year, and that DeBoer went into this year knowing that if there was it's the Jonathan Smith thing, that he went into the year knowing if there was success, that you're gone. And so how much effort was put into building the program going forward, as opposed to, you knew it was a swan song all along, and you kind of left your players out to dry. How much truth of that?
I say that's a lot of speculation.
It is a lot of speculation, but it's, again,
it makes sense.
It makes sense.
I do feel like it makes sense, the idea that Dan Lanning, back when he was talking about the A&M job open and everything, it makes sense that Saban. Sexton likely knew Saban was leaving, and that's why Lanning got his bag right then.
Yeah.
And that's why Lanning was so confident when he spoke about staying at Oregon.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't about the A&M job, it was about Alabama. And if he ain't going to Alabama, he's not going anywhere. Yeah. Right? DeBoer, also a Jimmy Sexton client, because again, Jimmy Sexton's Nick Saban's agent, he did not do that.
Nope.
And I'm guessing Jimmy Sexton did go to Washington and said, hey, you better lock him up, because guess what's on the horizon here? Alabama, and you guys are having a pretty good season.
And they tried.
Yeah, and DeBoer said no. So, do you blame a guy for keeping his options open? I don't know. I get the whole loyalty thing, but it is a college football coach.
Yeah.
I mean, how much do you expect? I don't know.
How many times can you get stabbed by a coach before? Like, this is just college.
It is. And I also have a hard time with people taking shots at any human being who is capitalizing and striking while the iron is the hottest.
Yeah.
Man, you would do the same thing.
Yeah, but again, at the same time, this goes back to, I never want to hear one of these dumb sons of bitches bitch about NIL and the transfer portal.
Yeah.
Because we freak out and we bitch and say that college football is ruined every time a kid leaves for the betterment of himself, and yet you got these coaches that stand in front of teams, and again, much like Coach Otten said, they preach loyalty and family and all this stuff, knowing that Jonathan Smith went into that year knowing that he had one foot out the door, and some people are saying that is what happened here, and that's the rub. It's one thing to leave to take a better job. It's another thing to be in the middle of your season, a special season, knowing that it doesn't really matter what happens because I'm already gone. And that rubs.
All right.
I don't care who you are.
If that's true.
That's it, and you will never know, because the agent and the coach will always deny it.
Mike Norvell also gets a big raise. He stays at Florida State. Another Jimmy Sexton guy. 8 years, worth over $80 million.
And Sark's working on his. Believe me. And that's the other part that pisses people off, is that when the Scott Boras of college football uses every one of these to just either move his guy to where he wants to, or to scare up raises for everyone else and force people to pay through the nose, it's a bad look.
All right, there's your Hot 5 at 5. It's brought to you by Victorico's Mexican Food, the most popular burrito spot in Oregon. Order now at victoricos.com. Robbing the Bank coming up next on The Fan.
So
it was 11-0. So they're actually they're not making up ground.
Blaze is making that comeback, are they?
Hey, I got them on the money line. Let's go. I know, I'm just kidding. All right, here are the records. We bet in units here. So a unit can be whatever you are comfortable with.
Yep. It's your standard bet.
If it's $1 and you bet with Suk all season, you are up $5. He is plus 5 units at a record of 29 and 31. But what's helped you is you've won both of your 10-unit plays.
Yeah, a couple big bets.
We each have 3 10-unit plays to utilize throughout the season. Okay, I am 22 and 20, and I am up 2 units. Buck is 46, 43 and 1, down 8 units though, even with a winning record, because he lost all 3 of his 10-unit bets because he's an idiot. Schulte, who is not here today, 5, 5 and 1 and down 10 units, and Will Ortner has made 1 week of picks here. He is 0 and 3 minus 10 units.
He's very bitter about it.
Yeah, he's not happy.
No.
But again, like you said, just make better picks.
Yeah.
All right, who wants to start?
I'll start with mine. My best, I'm going with a 5-unit. I thought about doing one more 10-unit, but I'm not. Okay. I'm going to go with a 5-unit. It's my big play of the week, and it's simply Kansas City.
Okay.
I think Miami is a fraud, and I know Kansas City has plenty of problems, but you brought up Tua's record in games below 45 degrees. He's dreadful. His numbers are dreadful. The Dolphins are dreadful. Warm teams, cold temperature, and this isn't cold temperature. We're going to be -1 before kick, and we're talking about possibly being -25 to 30 by the time this game rolls in. The Dolphins are in shambles. Xavier Howard's out. Mostert is beat up. Your O-line is beat up. Both of your edge rushers are out. You lost 3 linebackers last week. You're having to go to the Justin Houstons of the world. I'm sorry, 4.5, no problem. I'll lay it. This has 21-13. This is a touchdown win for the Chiefs. I like the Chiefs' run game in this temperature anywhere. They have the much better O-line. So go ahead, give me Kansas City, 5 units. They take care of the Dolphins.
All right. By the way, just to let everyone know, the games in this order beginning tomorrow: Cleveland favored by 2 in Houston. Tomorrow night, Kansas City by 4.5, hosting Miami. Then on Sunday, the first game at 10, we get Bills -9 over the Steelers. Cowboys favored by 7 over Green Bay. And then Detroit -3 at home over the Rams. And then Monday night, Eagles are still 3-point favorites against Tampa. I have a teaser that I really like. I'm going to go with, I don't count Miami out quite yet because of, several reasons. One, I think that the weather simply keeps this game close. I think it's going to be one of those games where it's just a trudge on both sides on offense. Yeah. But I also think Miami being a home run hitting team, I think they can hit a home run. If they hit a home run, I love this number in a teaser. Miami plus, I guess it would be plus 11.5. So right now it's 4.5. I'll move it would be 10.5. I move the spread 6 points. I'm going to do a 6-point teaser, and I get Miami plus 10.5. So I think moving this line to 2 scores, I think Miami keeps it close because Kansas City's offense, I'm sorry, it's just not very good, period. And then the weather on top of that, I think neutralizes Mahomes. I also think Miami can run on them. They did the first time. So I think Miami keeps this game close. So Miami plus 10.5 is the first leg of the 6-point parlay. The second leg is, I think, teasing Dallas down. Dallas is going to beat Green Bay. I trust Dallas at home. Dallas is healthy, way more healthy than Green Bay, and I don't like the Packers' defense. So I'm going to take Dallas down to -1, and I'm going to do a 5-unit 6-point teaser, Miami plus 10.5, Dallas -1.
My first play is I'm going to go with Dallas. I like them to cover the 7 points. Why? They're at home. Jordan Love, rookie quarterback, notorious for having issues in the playoffs, right? Rookie quarterbacks, they do not fare well. They don't fare well against the spread. They have to go to Dallas. Dallas is a different animal at home. I think they're able to turn him over a couple of times. I think they're able to cover. 7 is a lot, but I do think they're able to win this game by 10 to 14, and I'm going to do that for a 2-unit play.
My next one here, and this is merely based on the weather. And New Buffalo is better than Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is not a good team. I know Watt, and that's a big deal. But when you're talking about 25 to 60 mile an hour wind gusts, possibly having to move the game. I mean, the over-under went from 43, 44 down to 33.5, and I'm getting 9 points here. I will gladly take the Steelers for a 3-unit play. Pittsburgh will not win this game, but Buffalo plays with their food anyways and allows people to hang around. Mike Tomlin is the best coach in the NFL against the spread. They will find a way to keep this close. 9 points, I'll go ahead and grab that with a 3-unit play. Pittsburgh loses, but they'll cover 9. I mean, gosh, if it really is 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts, you're probably talking about a 13-10 game, and I get 9 points.
I hear you.
I think there's a lot of value in that, even though I hate Pittsburgh, especially with no TJ Watt. Pittsburgh finds a way to keep games close, and Buffalo finds a way to keep teams in games.
Here's Buckley's. He's going to go. So he's playing on the weather thing. He's going to go 3 units on Chiefs Dolphins under. He's got 3 units on Bills Steelers under. So he thinks the 2 really cold weather games are going to go under. And he's got a 6-point teaser for 5 unis, teasing the Pittsburgh Buffalo under down to 40 and the Miami Kansas City under down to 50.
Okay.
And then he's got a 9-point teaser.
He's got a 9.
Well, if you do 9 points, you have to take 3 teams. So he's teasing Buffalo down to minus, or basically a pick 'em.
Yeah.
Kansas City plus 4.5, and then Dallas plus 2. 9-point teaser for 4. God,
I love it.
I'm going to be on. I tell you what, this one I'm not as in love with, because Hugh Offill came on yesterday. You missed it, but his big pick of the week is Cleveland.
Yeah.
But I think everybody's taking Cleveland. I think I'm going to take Houston. I'm going to go Houston on the money line for 3 units. And the only reason I'm doing this is because 1, Joe Flacco, and 2, that's a good underdog, and they're at home. CJ Stroud is good. DeMeco Ryans is good. I think their defense can hold up in this game, and the world is piling on Cleveland. So I'll gladly take Houston. I'm not going to take 2 points. I'm just going to take them on the money line. I think they're going to win.
All right, and my last one here, I'm going to go 3 units, and this is merely on the vibe and what you're hearing. Supposedly, Sirianni's coaching for his life. What you're hearing is that if he loses in Tampa Bay, he's out. And to me, when that, you're already 1 foot out the door. A.J. Brown is not showing up apparently to things. He's scrubbing his media account. I think it's getting really, really ugly there. Tampa's been in playoff mode for a while. Tampa's not a great team, but they're grinding. And I just think all the vibes in Philly are completely wrong. And I'm getting 3 points with the home team. And at this point, I'm not sure Philly should be favored against a good team. Like a playoff team against anybody, let alone a Tampa team that's been in playoff mode. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll go 3 units on the Bucks to win this.
Yeah, I've got them as well. I'm going to go Tampa for a 5-unit play. I love it. I think the Eagles are cooked. I thought they'd be one and done in the playoffs, and I didn't like the matchup against Tampa. I was like, well, they can beat them, but I'm circling back to my original thought. I think they're done. There's something wrong with them.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay is the better defense at home, plus getting points. You betcha I'll take 5 units on that as well.
I'm going to go, I'm agreeing with you, Rob, on Houston, but I am going to take the 2 points. I think CJ Stroud's the better quarterback, and I think this is where Flacco turns into the pumpkin, right? Cinderella story over, so I'm going to go with 4 units on that one. Then the last play, I've got the Rams plus 3 against Detroit. Detroit, much like Buffalo, they like to play with their food. They like to keep everything close. And at the end of the day, when it's a close game, who do I trust more? Do I trust Sean McVay and Matt Stafford, 2 guys who have shown that they can get it done and that they have done it before, winning a Super Bowl together? Or am I going to trust Dan Campbell and Jared Goff, who, yeah, they've had success, but they haven't reached that mountaintop yet? I'm going to trust the Rams in that one, and I'm going to go for 5 units there.
That does seem to be the big sexy play is everyone is on the Rams.
The Rams, yeah.
Everyone.
I kind of like Detroit. Screw it. I'm going to try to steal 2 units on Detroit. Small play, but I'll take Detroit minus 3. I think they're going to win the game and then only laying the field goal. Yeah. Hopefully it's by 3, but maybe a touchdown. I do think it's going to be a close game, and I tend to agree with what Ortner just said. At the same time, there's something about Detroit. I think they can grind this one out and get this one done. So Detroit at home, huge day in that city. I think they win. So I'll put a 2-unit play on that. 2 other picks for Buck real quick. He is on Cleveland minus 2 for 2 units and the Cowboys minus 7 for 2 units. That is robbing the bank. It's a close race, boys.
Oh, yeah. It's coming down.
Big playoffs.
It's coming down to the wire. and I didn't get it in time because the game had already started, but I would like to point out again my 10-unit play of the Wolves minus 16.
Hey, you know what?
It's now 29-11.
Oh, God. We'll see. The Blazers are a second-half team, as you well know.
Well, I'm just saying I wanted it for the record that I knew I couldn't get in before the start of the game. This was giving money away at 16.
All right, coming up next, Joey Harrington joins us. What does he think of Dan Lanning staying and Kalen DeBoer leaving? Here's Will.
This is a
week for you. Not only do they lose, they get pummeled. They lose their coach, and you keep yours. And your Lions are in the playoffs. Unbelievable.
God, life is good. To quote the great, it's Jim Harbaugh and John Harbaugh. What's the dad's name?
Jack.
Jack, that's right. To quote the immortal Jack Harbaugh, who's got it better than us? Nobody. I mean, serious. Although I will push back a little bit and say, what was the adjective you used? Throttled. Washington. The score did not indicate.
Yeah, it was close
to me.
Still,
it was 20-13. It was 20-13 in the halfway through the fourth quarter with Washington driving, and had that offensive tackle, that right tackle, not gotten the holding penalty on the 40-yard ball up the sideline that they finally hit. It took them all game. And then on the next drive, had he not gotten the false start, and then another holding call, like they were on the verge of tying that thing up at 20, and then all of a sudden, a couple costly penalties. Michigan capitalizes twice because Washington's defense was worn out, and the score ended up what it was. But that was I'm still trying to figure out. And of course, very rarely is a quarterback going to come out and say, "Yeah, they beat us." It's oftentimes, "Yeah, well, we did it to ourselves." I'm trying to figure out those balls. I mean, because Penix missed 4 or 5 balls that game that, are, layups for him. I'm trying to figure out, and if that was Michigan doing it to him, or him doing it to himself, or the pressure of the situation. I've still been kind of mulling that over, and I can't quite come to a conclusion.
Of
whether that was
physical, mental, Michigan involved.
Was it more Michigan? Was it more Penix?
Yeah.
Right. Did Penix just miss? We did it to ourselves.
Yeah.
Did he just miss? Or did Michigan do something? Because, okay, now let's acknowledge, I'm not sure what happened, just repeated hits to the abdomen. Yeah. He was, that fourth quarter, he was playing through something.
Yeah, but the first three, he looked fine physically. It wasn't until the end.
They got his ribs late.
Yes.
Right. So was it just the continual, here comes, they're coming, and he started seeing ghosts? Yeah. Was it a confusion? Something that, because it didn't look like he was confused. It didn't look like they were the one that he missed in the first quarter where Odunze kept it up the seam and Penix wanted him to come. It almost looked like, I don't know. I keep coming back to that. Did Penix and Washington just miss, or did Michigan rush them? Or maybe it's just maybe it's not a clean answer. Maybe it's a combination of both. Credit Michigan for doing it.
Well, did you ever? You're a great guy to ask this question. Did you ever have a game like that where you weren't necessarily getting hit every play, but you were just sped up? And that
seeing ghosts, yeah.
Absolutely. So I mean, that's clearly what happened. Michael Penix is too good to just be that off, don't you think? I think you got to give all the credit to Michigan. But I see what you're saying. It seemed like, Suk and I were talking about this week, it seemed like the Michigan DBs were confused a lot. There were plays to be made, but at the same time, if Penix is, like you say, seeing ghosts or just being rushed, that's how you miss.
But see, there's the point. Michigan's DBs, I agree, were confused. So part of me says it's not Michigan doing that. Yeah. It's Penix seeing ghosts and missing that ball. He had a corner route against cover 2. Yep. The guy was sitting down in the hole, and I'm talking about this is Harry high school stuff. Yep. That you throw that ball and he threw it 5 feet over his head. There was something that, and maybe it was the front 7, maybe it was that pass rush that got to him. But something clear, whether it was the pass rush, whether it was the gravity of the moment, whether it was something clearly got to him.
Yeah, it's funny because stats are very misleading, and I forget who it was, but one of the defensive coordinator, I forget who it was, earlier this year was talking. It was an NFL guy, but he said sacks are the most worthless stats in all of football. When we look at sacks, like, oh, the guy's got 12 sacks. How many of those are impactful? Oh, we sacked him, 2 times. Cool. His whole point was I'd rather have 17 pressures and 4 knockdowns than I would 5 sacks, if that's all you get. And the interesting part that Michigan only sacked him once, but Texas never sacked him. Statistically, though, and again, this can be a bit misleading, but Texas actually pressured him more than Michigan did. And, it's one of those that when I watched the Texas game, Penix had pressure up the middle all the time. Yeah. And he handled it like an absolute rock star. I mean, he couldn't have handled it any better. And then when I watch him against Michigan, and again, I don't know what the difference is. You'd have to talk to Michael Penix or really sit down and try to watch the All-22. But when the pressure came up the middle against Michigan, he didn't sidestep. He started trying to go backwards, and he was throwing off his back foot. And it just,
which is exactly takes me back to the point, like maybe it was just Penix missing.
Maybe.
Like that exact, like that is literally the circle that I keep going in. And I guess at this point though, like, hey, what's done is done, right? Michigan won, Washington lost. Yeah. We have a coach, and apparently Washington doesn't. So,
I was going to say that.
You know what?
Yeah, we're talking about this game. That seems like ages ago with the week we've had.
Exactly.
I was talking to my buddy who's a diehard Husky fan, and he was down at the game, and I was just talking to him today, and he was basically saying, I've never felt, as a Husky fan, I've never felt so high to so low in such a short period of time. And it's like, I mean, you really thought that you going into that game that they had a chance. I think most people thought that they knew that Michigan was probably the overall better team, but they felt like they had a chance. And then there was this notion of, okay, well, we have DeBoer and, it's, a new era sort of thing. And then the rug gets pulled out from underneath you. I mean, this is about as high and low as you can get as a program.
Well, I wasn't blowing smoke last week when I said that I thought that Michigan would win, or excuse me, that Washington would win. I mean, watching the way that Penix dealt with Texas and dealt with the pressure and those wide receivers, I mean, I genuinely thought they would. And then, like, somebody brought this to my attention. Washington is losing their starting quarterback, their starting tailback, their top 3 wide receivers, and arguably the best wide receiver in college football, their top 2 tight ends, and 2 of their 5 starting offensive line. Yeah. Like that's a gut punch. Like, fine, your coach leaves, okay, but oh great, we can just plug in a new coach with this veteran group of offensive. Oh no, like literally they are wiped. They are wiped out.
Yeah, they lost 2 corners today to the transfer portal too. So yeah, I mean they were going to have to reset anyway, even with DeBoer. But
this is a whole bunch of. It's a different reset when you don't know who's going to be your guy, and
it's kind of the new age of college football, though. It's just this is what happens: the super highs where you can get better fast, and then the lows where everybody bolts.
The rise and fall of college football programs, I think, is going to be going forward. It's going to be more like the NFL in that we have about a 50% turnover every year in playoff teams, and you can rebuild a team in 2 years, and in 2 years it can completely fall apart. I think that's coming to college football. Watch Alabama. I mean, if Alabama gets gutted by the transfer portal and, DeBoer comes in there and you're playing in that schedule now, I mean, it's
and so here's what was the constant in all of in Alabama's run? What was the constant in all of it?
Nick Saban.
Exactly. What has been the constant in Georgia's run?
Kirby Smart.
Right. Yeah. I truly believe, and this can take us into the Dan Lanning. In this age, like you said, of transfer portals, of coaches leaving, of NIL, if you have a consistent guy at the top, you're going to lose guys to the transfer portal every year. But if you can establish a culture, if you can establish a winning culture, a way of doing things led by somebody who the players and the community and the university believe in, like that is going to be the most important thing. Well, aside from, physical talent, but like that's going to be the most important thing in this whole mess of college football, which is why like that's the thing for so many of us. It was like, when Willie had a choice, he chose Florida State. When Mario had a choice, he chose Miami. When Dan had a choice, he chose us, right? What does that say to his players? What does that say to all the players around the country who are thinking of leaving, right? Oh, I don't like this. So the coach hates me. He does, he's not going to play me. Where do I want to go to Oregon. Like that type of, I don't know. And look, Dan may or may not have had an offer. Like that's the thing I keep hearing too. Well, he wasn't actually offered the job. Well, I know for a fact that he was contacted about interest in the job.
Yeah.
Right? Whether or not he was offered a 6-year, $60 million contract is irrelevant. The fact that somebody reached out and said, "Do you have interest in the Alabama job?" And he said, "No, I like where I am right now. And I believe in the place that I am right now." Like that speaks volumes.
That little video they put out, one, it was really well done. But two things that they did there. One, they took what was 24 hours of holy hell, another catastrophe, and he turned it into a recruiting pitch with the one little line in that video, and I thought it was brilliant. Whoever put it in there,
I loved it.
It was brilliant, and it was, are you unsure of your coach? Are you unsure of your coach staying or leaving? Come play here because I'm not going anywhere. In a world of I don't have any stability in the world of college football, they just put up a big billboard across the country and said, "We have stability. Come play here." That is a brilliant move to take what could be Coach waffling and you don't know how long he's going to be here, to planting your flag and saying, "You come here, you know what you're going to get." I thought it was a brilliant move.
I could not agree more. And the thing too, like as you get past the, I don't say euphoria, but you get past like the excitement of, and almost kind of like a relief, like, oh my God, like is it seriously happening again? Like, and then you come to the realization, like, not only is it not happening again, but our coach turned down Alabama or said no. Fine. We won't say he turned down, because there was, let's assume there was no offer. He still said no thanks to Alabama. I would rather be at Oregon. Did you ever think in your lifetime, like 20 years ago, that you would be sitting here and if Alabama offered Rich Brooks a contract, like I don't know, like I just can't get over that. Like he said no to Alabama because he wanted to be at Oregon.
Well,
and that is so fantastic.
It is one thing that's it seems to be a common thread in all of this Alabama talk is Jimmy Sexton.
Oh, yeah.
He's the power agent who represented Nick Saban, and it's interesting to me that all of his clients were the ones on the Alabama list.
So people got paid,
and Dan Lanning is a Jimmy Sexton guy. So that, and why wouldn't they want Dan Lanning? I mean, a young, energetic guy building a something great at Oregon. At least it seems. There's a lot to like about him. So he was at least, like you said, approached with the whole Jimmy Sexton connection. And the other thing too this says is Oregon, the program has come a long way. They're taking good care of him behind the scenes.
Yeah, there's some talk of maybe some Nike stock being involved, and
they're taking good care of him.
Stick around, and it's more than just a $20 million buyout.
That's what you got to do.
I'm sure he's got a dry fit or two. He's probably got like
maybe some shoes,
a pair of sneaks, some Cortez or something that they gave him. Like, hey, thanks so much. Like, I really appreciate it.
But the guy's already almost achieved legendary status at Oregon, and he's only been there for 2 years.
And he's won nothing.
People love him.
I was about to say that.
I totally get it.
And he actually hasn't won a conference championship, and he hasn't beat Washington. Like that's really, and I think that says something. Like the talk with Mario was always like, oh, he's got to win. He got to win a championship. He got to win a championship. There's something about, and this is why, like, there's something about Dan's personality. There's something about his approachability. There's something about his, you just believe him. You believe him when he talks. Right? You believe in him. Like there isn't, very rarely, outside of the I would say the press conferences after games, do you get, or I should say, you get a lot less coach speak with Dan Lanning than you do with some of the other guys, right? You get genuine, like, here's what I feel, and I'm going to share it with you. And not only am I going to share it, but when the time comes, I'm going to back it up. Like that's like, and so I think he's given, he said he's earned this legendary status. Yeah, he hasn't won a conference championship yet. But he's connected with the community, and he's connected with the players, and he's connected with the alumni in a way that I can't think of a coach. I mean, I honestly, like, Chip didn't. Obviously, Willie didn't. Mario, Helfrich did, but only because, so many of us played when he was a GA there. Like, but still, like, he's connected to this community in a way that no other coach has. And that is something that's really special.
This is our friend Joey Harrington, courtesy of Mods PDX. When we get back, let's keep talking about this topic. I have a question about Dan Lanning moving forward that was asked on the show yesterday. It's a good question about expectations for him. And if you're just tuning in, Kalen DeBoer is headed to Alabama. So we'll have more with Joey Harrington coming up next on The Fan.
It's time.
questions here that came up yesterday on the show that I want to pitch to you. The first one is a friend of mine asked me, they said, because I was talking about Lanning already kind of feeling like a legend at Oregon and he hasn't won anything. How do you rank, take Lanning out of it because he's not there yet, but the Bilottis, the Chips, Rich Brooks, Helfrich played for a national championship. How do you power rank the past Oregon coaches in terms of legendary status?
Ooh. If we're going off like legendary status, I take that to mean some sort of like something above, like, I won't use the phrase godlike, but like that, that aura, that, and the way that Chip revolutionized football, really. Like he changed the game of football in a way that, you'd be hard pressed to find a list of, 5 to 10 other guys that have done to the game what Chip did. And the fact that he did it at Oregon.
But Bilotti found him.
I know. But I think that I think you use the term legendary, and so I think that guides me to Chip. I think that, if we're using words like foundational, and if we're using words like, the backbone, like that is Bilotti.
Yeah. Okay. I got you. Okay. So who is the most important?
Oh man, now you combine the two.
Exactly. Bilotti. It's probably Bilotti, right?
I think it is. I think Bilotti, because a lot of people were, I don't say there's recency bias, right? But people, you guys started these, back in there's the super young generation that says, oh yeah, well things started with Chip and well, actually no, they didn't. And then there's the middle generation that's like, oh, things started with you guys in 2000, 2001. It's like, actually no, they didn't. Things started, like this whole thing started with Musgrave and Bilotti. Rich Brooks was the head coach, but Bilotti was the coordinator. Like Bilotti got that offense going. Like this was a 1988, 89 beginning. And so if you're going to say the most important, that call it, when did Musgrave come? 86, 87. So we'll call it a 15-year stretch that Bilotti built the foundation of what this turned into, starting with finding the guy from Grand Junction, Colorado, and going to the first bowl game, and then, taking and then going to the Rose Bowl, and then taking over head coach and going back to the Cotton Bowl, and then turning it into our recruiting class, which became, back-to-back Pac-10 championships and, BCS. And then that turned into the controversy of not being included, which gained us more visibility and the billboards. Like he literally built this thing and then he found Chip and then he said, Chip, it's yours now. Run. Yeah. Right. So I think that, at least in my opinion, if you're going to say who is the most important to what it is right, it's got to be Bilotti.
Yeah, I think so too. Now that leads to the next question, which is how does Lanning crack this? People already love him. He's already stiff-armed Alabama, which probably means he'll be here a while. Short of the Georgia job. What's that?
What other job is there going to be that comes along where it's like, yeah, cool, I'm going to bounce real quick.
Yeah, I think the Georgia job would maybe scare some people, but I also think that would have to open at the exact right time where he's unhappy or they're peeing in his pot about his contract or something's going on.
Yeah, there's no singular job that can come up that in a vacuum is better than the Alabama job. If he would ever leave, you're right. It would just be a confluence of time and job. But there's not a better job in America than Alabama.
So he'll be here a while, it seems. That's the best part about all of this, is that it felt like it was happening again. And 24 hours later, like, oh my God, not only is he staying, this is our guy for a long time. Everybody's got confidence in him. But the next question becomes, what does he need to do moving forward? If he doesn't get over the hump, and he has not each of the last 2 years, how many more years of grace does he get if that keeps happening, or maybe even more general, what are his expectations? Is it title or bust moving forward for Dan Lanning?
Define hump.
Well, I think
the goal is
playing for a title.
Yeah, playing at least
get get the opportunity. I mean, Chip played for a title. Helfrich played for a title. I mean, I hate to say it, I think that's the standard.
Bellotti should have played for a title.
For sure. I mean, you said hump though, and I immediately thought, well, it's got to be Washington.
Yeah,
well, there's that.
And beating Washington would have, therefore it would have been if this, then if you beat Washington, then you're playing for a title. Yeah, I mean, I don't think the expectations have been any different, right? I don't think those are new expectations. I think that's the expectation every year now, and I don't think anything has changed. I can't envision with the and maybe things will be different in the Big Ten. Right? I can't envision a scenario with this new energy of the college football playoff that Oregon is not in the mix over the next, however many years. Now, do they need to win a Big Ten championship? I don't know. Do they need to, what if they get into the playoff and lose in the first round 4 straight years? Like, I don't know. But I can't imagine a scenario right now. If it was the old setup, 4 teams, you got to win a conference championship to get into that playoff. Then I'd say, yeah, you got to win that conference championship. I don't know what that's going to look like when the tournament expands to 12.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter the route. It just
exactly
get into the final.
Exactly. So it's like I don't know what the marker is. You can say, well, Mario won a conference champion. Mario won 1, Mario won 2. I think one of them didn't really count because it was in COVID.
Yeah. Rose Bowl though.
But yeah, exactly. Like you have something tangible because it produced a Rose Bowl. Because like that something that carrot, therefore Purdue, you win the conference, therefore you get into the, you beat Washington this year, you get into the playoff. I can't imagine a scenario where Oregon doesn't get into the playoff over the next few years. I think maybe I don't know. So it's tough for me to answer that without seeing how the college football landscape is going to change with this expansion.
Yeah. What I'm getting at though is like you go to Alabama, you're expected to win championships. I mean, Kalen DeBoer is not going to get time to work through some kinks. At Oregon, even though the program has gotten to a place where it kept its coach over Alabama, you still have this, hey, we're happy to have you. Keep building it. And he doesn't, in other words, Dan Lanning doesn't necessarily have to win a title. They love him.
Well, but do you think, and maybe I'm just off on this. Do you think if Alabama goes to the playoff each of the next 5 of the next 6 seasons, but doesn't win a championship, do you think they'd fire Kalen DeBoer?
No, I don't think they'd fire him, but I think there would be heat.
Well, I look no further than Ryan Day. Ryan Day stepped in, played for a national title, was a field goal away from beating Georgia 2 years ago, thumped Michigan year after year, and he's had 2 years now where they've been 1 game away. And by the way, they were driving to beat Michigan this time, and they had the interception. And now, dude, half that fan base wants Ryan Day gone. And yes, I do think next year, Ryan Day, if he doesn't make the playoff, I do think Ryan Day can be fired. So I don't know if you make the playoff every year you get fired, but dude, there's different expectations. They fired Ed Ogeron's ass 2 years after winning a national title. Gene Chizik was fired 2 or 3 years after winning a national title. Look, it doesn't take long down there in SEC Paul Feinbaum world for you to go from the penthouse to get your ass out of town.
Well, in the immortal words of Ron Burgundy, as I seem to reference quite often on this show, that's just dumb. Yeah. No, that wasn't Ron Burgundy. That was Ricky Bobby. Dang it.
That's just dumb. Well,
it happens quickly down there, and I do think that is
DeBoer's.
he's stepping.
He's a great coach, but man,
he doesn't. I mean,
this is going to be tough.
He has won at every level.
But
this
here's
is
the
different.
thing, though. In both of those situations, whether it's Orgeron and Chizik, they went from championship to not in the picture.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yes.
Right. They went from championship to 6-5. My point is, if Kalen DeBoer has them in the playoffs, like that's not. If Ryan Day has Ohio State in the playoffs, like that's what saved Jim Harbaugh's job. Jim Harbaugh was sitting there and they said, "You can't beat Ohio State. You can't beat Ohio State. We're going to fire you." And he says, "Hold on, give me a pay cut and give me another year. I can do this." And then he put him in the playoffs.
Yes.
That playoff is the playoff. That playoff berth was what
Playoffs?
convinced or gave Harbaugh extra life. And they went to the playoff again. And it's like, hell yeah, this guy's awesome. And then they won it. Like, that's the thing. Like, that's my point is, like, with the expansion of this playoff, I almost feel like that's the magic. Hey, you got to see, in the playoff every single year?
I don't know, because with the new expansion, we don't know anymore what the old expectation was. If you make the Final Four, no one can bitch. You can't bitch about being in the Final Four. Same thing in college basketball. But we know that at some places, let's say Kansas basketball, if Bill Self makes it to the Big Six or makes it to the Sweet 16 every year, and that's all he does, that ain't good enough for Kansas. It's not good enough for North Carolina. So what we don't know is how fan bases and how ADs are going to view about you being the 10th or 11th team in the playoff area, because that means you have 2 losses. That means you didn't win a conference title. And is that good enough? And we may not know for a couple years, but I have an idea that in 4 or 5 years, for programs like Washington, or I think maybe even Oregon, I think for those programs making the playoff, you're safe as kittens. You keep getting extensions. I'm not certain that Bama, at Ohio State, at LSU, I'm not certain about going 10-2, being the 11th or 12th team in, getting bounced in the first round 2 or 3 years in a row. I am not certain that is going to be good enough. And there's only one way to know. We'll find out. But something tells me that's not going to be.
I have a name for you.
Yeah.
Frank Solich.
Hey, exactly. Yeah.
Dude, he did good.
He did great.
I'm serious. Taking over for Tom Osborne. He did great.
No, I'm saying, Rob, he's right.
Yeah.
I hate to admit it, but I think he's right.
Yeah. And it's stupid of those fan bases. That is dumb. But
like that's like, because I'm still thinking of the playoff. Like, you're right. It's the Final Four.
Yeah.
Like that is what the playoff berth is in the existing format of college football. But you're right. Like, you're essentially expanding it to, it's not 16, it's 12, but like to the Sweet 16.
Yeah.
And that's different. Yeah. Dang it. You're right.
Wow.
Kalen
DeBoer will be at Alabama for how long? Fast answer. Go. Less than 5 years. I'm serious. Less than 5 years. And it's not because he's not a good coach. He's a great coach.
4 years.
Yeah. Okay.
3 years.
Same.
I would agree. If you said it at 4.5,
get that money,
and it sucks, I would take the under.
Yeah. All right. Gosh, your Lions, the playoffs. We didn't even get to talk about any of it.
Yeah.
It's been that kind of week. We didn't even talk about Belichick. It's unbelievable.
Bella who?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Who's that guy?
Yesterday's news. Literally.
Just like I remind my boys every night before I go to sleep. Don't forget, your dad beat Tom Brady. Now I'm going to say, don't forget, your dad beat Bill Belichick.
That's right.
Yes. All right. We'll leave it there.
That one time. We'll leave it there.
Thank you. Talk to you next week. All right. Joe Harrington, courtesy of Mods PDX. The future of building is here. Okay. So Nick Saban, this is going to be a little sportsy, but also a little clubby to kick off the club. Okay. Nick Saban has a statue outside of Alabama's field.
Bryant-Denny Field, I think it is.
I have a list of the top 11 strangest things that were placed at the feet of that statue upon the death of Nick Saban.
It got cream pied.
That's next on the field.
little long.
A little long. It happens.
Speaking on our old
Story of my
conversation, I just saw it about a half hour ago. Will Rogers is done with UW already.
Oh, my
and
God,
he has
really?
entered the portal.
Oh, Jesus.
Yep. He was on the sidelines for the national title game, like wearing a jersey and throwing. And
Yeah, I saw that.
yeah, he's yep, he gone. So
Oh, man.
if you're Washington, you're back to. And Dylan Morris already left, so I don't know what your
Let's get a coach.
quarterback situation is, but as
Let's
of
go.
right now, you don't
Get a
have
coach.
one.
Get a coach.
Get a coach.
Start from there.
Yeah. Scramble to find a quarterback.
Watch the AD leave. He's like, you know what? I'm out of here.
He goes back to Tulane. He's like, screw this, I'm out.
All right, y'all. I've got the 11 strangest things at Nick Saban's memorial.
I did see cream pies were involved, which is just it's like the whole stepmom thing, and it's taken on an entirely different meaning for this generation.
This
Yes,
is from
it does.
This is from SB Nation. A get well soon balloon
What? Is Nick
Yeah.
in trouble?
or sick. He's not.
I don't think so. I saw that he's getting an office at Bryant-Denny Stadium.
Yeah, that can't be good for Kalen DeBoer.
Barry Alvarez
Seriously,
style.
that is not good.
Just looming above.
Yeah, I don't know. So this is at the statue that's outside of Bryant-Denny Stadium.
Yeah.
It's of Nick Saban.
Clapping.
And people are making it as if he died. It's like a memorial.
It's so weird.
It is weird. But I wonder, get well soon. I wonder how many people actually think he died. Because they see other stuff. They're like, well, I got to put something.
Well, I'll bet you there are some people that go by and just immediately assume, oh, Saban died? Oh, crap.
We have Griot's pickles sitting on top of a bundt cake pan.
Wait.
You know those bundt cake pans?
Yeah, but why the
pickles? I don't
does
know.
Saban like pickles?
I don't know. We have a Halloween novelty wine glass. We have a Chick-fil-A gift card.
Look, is it poor form? I'm not gonna lie. If I walked by and saw
Yes, that's poor form.
the big hullabaloo,
That's not yours. That's Saban's.
and I just happened to swing by and I saw a Chick-fil-A gift card, I'm taking it.
I know you are, but yes, that's poor form.
You would not take the
No.
Chick-fil-A gift card?
No.
Will, I need a younger
Chick-fil-A is overrated. I don't know that I'm stealing a fast food
Okay, but
part of anything.
Well, what's your favorite restaurant?
Like fast food?
No, just say your favorite restaurant.
Well, I'm a big fan of Laurelhurst Market Butcher Shop.
There you
Okay,
go.
there's a $50 gift. Well, I don't know if $50. You don't know how much is on it.
Yeah.
But there's a Laurelhurst Market gift
No.
card sitting at the feet of
No.
Nick Saban's statue. Are you taking it?
No, because I'd get caught.
Caught doing what?
Stealing.
It's not stealing,
Yes,
Will.
it
It's
is.
on the ground.
No, it's there for a reason. You'd get chastised.
You wouldn't get in trouble.
No.
Which is why Suk would take it.
Yeah.
But I still think, Ortner, you're on the right. Ortner, you're a good man. Suk is not.
I love how they're going to charge me with stealing something that was laying on the ground. Not sure you know how the law works, Will, but pretty
They're
sure.
giving it to
Yeah.
him and his
That's right. It's
statue
the
and his
spirit.
memory.
It's the spirit of what Will is talking
That's
about,
like
and he's
stealing-
right.
Well, I'll
You're
tell you what,
stealing a headstone then by that.
Yeah.
The Laura Hurst
That logic.
Yes.
The Laura Hurst culotte is going in my pocket with that gift card. 100%.
Then we have a slice of congealed pizza.
That's kind of gross.
Gross.
Yeah.
We have a duck. It looks like just one of those
A duck?
fake. You just put them on water to.
Good Lord. What
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
wrong with
Maybe
people?
that's an Oregon fan doing that. I
I
don't know.
guess.
We have a single Four Loko
Oh.
there.
I might take that.
Is it the old Four Loko? Because those were dangerous.
I don't know.
The new formula is Bush.
You could thank Central Washington for that, by the way.
Yeah, the new didn't someone die?
I think multiple people did.
Yeah.
We have an empty bottle of Barefoot Moscato,
Someone got drunk on Moscato?
which is crappy wine.
Yeah.
Then we have a bag of ice. Someone placed a bag of ice on
Okay.
his statue.
Wow.
I might take that.
Well, it's probably, you got to get there early for that one. It's like a garage sale. I'm guessing if you want to pilfer the Saban Memorial, you got to get there first thing in the morning. The good stuff is gone, like the ice. It's melted.
And we have a 3/4 eaten bag of Sour Power candy belts from Buc-ee's.
Buc-ee's is a big deal down there. They love their Buc-ee's.
So those are the.
But 3/4. The one that I saw was someone left a box of Little Debbie cream pies because apparently Nick Saban, for like the last 30 years, he eats 2 oatmeal Little Debbie cream pies every morning.
every morning.
Every morning. which seems to be like the worst possible thing you could eat in the morning. But yeah, that's the one I saw. Someone left. I guess I think he drinks Coke and he eats oatmeal cream pies. And so those are the ones that I saw that people were leaving, which makes sense because that's like what Saban is into. But like the 3/4 bag of gummy bears or gummy worms from Buc-ee's,
Crazy.
Seems a little strange.
All right, we'll get to the Super Bowl halftime show coming up next on The Fan.
Duck fans, that was close.
My wife got on me. Or was that this morning? I think it was last night. No, it was this morning.
Congrats, bro.
Yeah, thanks. Oh, like she got on me. I see what he did there. Like we're doing it, you know?
Which I'm guessing didn't happen this morning, but all right.
No, it did not. Yeah. I can assure you of that. We were sitting there watching Good Morning America or something.
And she got
which is kind of hot in and of itself.
She got overcome with horniness. Just had to have you right then and there.
Well, no, they did a bit on the halftime show at the Super Bowl, and you guys didn't even remember who it was.
I did not.
This year it's Usher.
See, okay, now I remember. Now I remember this. I was like, we talked about this when it first happened, and it's funny that you mentioned this, but me and my missus have had. I'm not going to say she doesn't believe me about something. We have had a discussion about this very thing no less than 3 times, which says something that I still don't remember. It was about the Super Bowl halftime show, but this is a rub in my house, and not the good kind of rub.
So I was chastised because they did the whole thing on Usher. I'm like, oh, okay. And then we started talking about when we were in San Diego, we happened to be eating at a restaurant that was doing trivia at the time. And we weren't participating in the trivia, but we were overhearing it. And one of the trivia questions, and I don't remember the exact question, but the answer was, it was something about who is the top selling artist of the 90s, or maybe it was the 2000s.
Sure.
And it was Usher. And we were all on Justin Timberlake. We were like, oh, it's got to be Justin Timberlake.
Makes sense.
But it was Usher.
Maybe
and
Beyonce or something.
I was like, Usher? And my wife's like, yeah, he was huge. And I'm like, I don't really think he was. Of course, I'm dead wrong.
Yeah.
Your wife's right.
Dead wrong, yeah. And so fast forward to this thing that was on the news this morning about Usher, and I'm like, dude, give me one song. Like, I don't think I know one Usher song. Like, I know nothing of Usher. I think he's a handsome fella.
Yes.
And it seems that he can dance a bit.
He takes his shirt off a lot, and he's got great abs.
And he looks the same as he always has. He hasn't aged a bit. He's like LL Cool J.
He's got vampire blood in him.
So
they call him like it's like him and Bruno get the Michael Jackson comparison. I guess his shows are amazing.
Yeah, they say he's just incredible.
He roller skates a lot.
Oh, he does?
Yeah. So my gal went and saw him just last year in Vegas.
In Vegas, yeah, he's doing
and it led to a whole. So ours wasn't about the Super Bowl, but I did have an argument about Usher because she went down and saw him and.
Dude, I know nothing about. She was getting on me. She's like, "How do you not know Usher songs?" And so I pull up Spotify.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, let's go through the songs. Maybe it's one of these artists where you play me a bunch of songs, and I'm like, oh my god, he's got a bunch of stuff that
happens all the time.
That did not happen. She played me 10 songs. 9 of them were #1 hits. Mm-hmm. I knew one of them.
This is a you and me thing because I swear to God, we did not plan this. I did not know that you were going to go down this road.
Samesies.
This is the exact same argument to the point where I had to rope in a Nigerian Uber driver into this fight. She came back from Vegas with video of Usher, and his stage is incredible. It's very there's a lot going on, and my gal was like, you would love it. There's big booty sluts everywhere. Like the whole thing is just like a bunch of slutty girls on roller skates, and he's roller skating, and I was like, whatever. I'm like, I don't care about Usher. And she was like, he is greatness. And I said, I don't doubt that he is, but I said, I don't really know anything. I said, the only one I know is Yeah. I know the little this. This is the Usher song.
I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
After this, did you know another one?
No. And so this is my point. She thought I was being an ass because she kept playing me videos of the songs that she records. She's a recorder at concerts.
Yeah. Takes out her phone.
Yeah. We got issues. I am not a fan. She's always
recording. To each their own.
I know, but I'm like, what are you doing with these videos? Nothing. No one will ever watch them.
I watch videos from concerts back.
Put your damn phone down and watch the show.
It's kind of cool.
And so she kept playing me these songs, and I was like, I don't know what this is. And with each song, she got madder and madder and madder. And I was like, I am not doing a bit. I just didn't ever listen to Usher. And this continued. And then like a month later, we're in an Uber. And the Nigerian cab driver, who was very nice, and I was like, hey, where are you from? And he said, Nigeria. And how long you been here? I was talking to him, whatever. And what comes on the radio? Usher. Not this, but Usher. And my gal's like, see? Usher. And I was like, I don't know what this is. And I had to throw him under the bus. I said, sir, so what kind of music do you listen to? He's like, oh, I listen to this top 40 hip hop thing. And I said, do you know who this is? He didn't know. And she was livid that I would rope.
Well, how old was this guy?
He was probably 30, 35 maybe. And he had no idea. And I was like, see, not even and then she did the unfortunately the race thing. Well, he's from Nigeria. I'm like, what does that matter? And then he was laughing and we all got into a big thing. Usher is the biggest star. I admit, he's huge, Super Bowl, all kinds of hits. He might be the biggest star that I know nothing about. Nothing. Because like if you gave me, I'm not a Beyonce guy, but I could name you 8 Beyonce songs. Like I know Beyonce. Yeah. There's like Crazy in Love.
Halo.
Yeah, Halo, Single Ladies. Like I know Beyonce songs.
All the single ladies. Yeah. All the single ladies.
But I've never listened to a Beyonce song on my own, but I'm very familiar. Same thing with Taylor Swift. I know a bunch of Taylor Swift songs. Plenty of artists like that I don't listen to. I could even give you Jonas Brothers songs. But I don't know any Usher songs, and it pisses my gal off so very much, mainly because I think she wants to hump him. And
I want to hump him.
Well, he's gorgeous, but
gorgeous.
It's weird.
It's an age difference thing. He was on all the time. All the middle school parties I went to.
Yeah,
Usher
I think that's
played.
right.
Raymond versus Raymond.
So you and I are pretty close in age. I mean, I'm 48. You're 43.
45.
40. Oh shit. Or, I mean, shoot. Sorry. Dump that.
3 years. We're
yeah.
close.
Yeah, so I think he's right. I think that when Usher was popular,
Yeah.
it's just that was not the style of music that you and I were listening to.
No.
As young whites.
No, I'm very familiar with who Usher is,
Yeah.
but this is why I said he's in a weird spot. I'm trying to think of someone that is his level of fame that I know less about. And I don't think because believe me, she did the same thing. She went through all of those songs, and the only one that I knew, was Yeah. And she would play this song, and she'd be like, just keep listening. I'm like, I didn't know it now. I don't know it 2 minutes from now. I've never heard that song.
There was one other one that I was somewhat familiar with, but he has 9 number 1 hits.
Oh yeah, he's enormous.
He's huge. And I guess we're in the same boat. My wife was like, how do you not know any of this? I'm like, well, I wasn't cool back then. But I was listening to Neil Diamond. I swear to God, I was listening to Neil Diamond.
But isn't it weird? Because like Maroon 5 did the Super Bowl halftime show, and Usher is bigger than Maroon 5.
Yeah.
And I don't listen.
And you know Maroon 5 songs.
Yeah, I don't listen to Maroon 5, but I could tell you that there's like Memories, Phone Booth, Sugar. Like there's plenty of Maroon 5 songs that I can name. Why is Usher like a blind spot?
Maybe Usher songs weren't. Okay, I think a good experiment would be with all of the popular artists, among all of the popular artists of whatever, let's say the 2000s,
Yeah,
right?
the last 20 years.
Well, let's just do their decade.
Sure.
Like he was one of the, when in his height.
I think it was the early 2000s.
Yeah, early 2000s. So right in there, that 5-year window, 2000, 2005, take all the super hot artists from that time.
He goes more to 2008.
Okay, whatever. I'm just saying, whenever take your time period, take the hot artists from that time period, and is it possible that Usher's songs just aren't played as much as the other popular artists in terms of in other places, commercials, in stadiums, in wherever people are, in grocery store, whatever.
Sure.
Like, because you know Maroon, like you don't listen to Maroon 5.
No, but they're around.
But they're around.
Yes.
Usher maybe wasn't as around as was he controversial? I don't know.
No, I think Usher.
I'm just spitballing
I think
here.
Usher's pretty universally safe, right? He just sings about getting it on. Every song is about humping someone.
He's the one who discovered Justin Bieber.
Yeah,
Biebs.
That's the thing. I know that
Off of YouTube.
I know Usher and Bieber, and I know more Justin Bieber songs than I do Usher songs.
Justin Bieber is greatness.
What?
Biebs.
He's good, dude.
Really?
Like I'm not going out and searching him out, but when it comes to white girl music, I'd much rather listen to a Justin Bieber song than have to deal with some of the others.
I'm not saying he's not. I'm open to it. I've just never heard that hot take from.
Well, it's like I don't like the Beatles, but the Beatles are greatness. That's kind of how I equate Justin Bieber.
But yeah, so I'll go through so I looked it up, and this is from Billboard, so it talks about it was early on, but streams, concert, record play, they gave a point system for all these different metrics, and they came up with the top 100 artists of 2000 to 2010. And you know who's number one? With 2,400 points is Usher. So I will go. It's interesting. So if you gave me the top 10, so it's Usher, Eminem, Rihanna, Taylor Swift, Beyonce, Jay-Z, Nelly, Ludacris, 50 Cent, and Kanye West. I could name multiple songs. Not a ton, but I could name multiple songs. Like Ludacris, I bet you I can only give you 2 or 3. But I could give you at least 5 songs for every other artist on that list, and I could give you 1 for Usher. And yet he was the most popular by a scooch. Him and Eminem were right there. That's such a weird... That's such a weird thing.
It took 20 years, but we finally have something in common.
That neither one of us knows Jack S. about Usher.
I know that song. That's it. Oh, by the way, I would also like to state, of the other names on that list, you rattled them off kind of fast.
Yeah.
But I caught most of them. Mm-hmm. I don't know anything about any of them.
No.
I mean, I know Eminem a little.
Usher, Eminem, Rihanna.
Not Rihanna, I got nothing.
You need to do some work on her catalog.
She's fantastic.
Okay.
She's a good singer.
T-Swizzle.
Taylor Swift?
Yeah.
You can pass on
again, I don't know much. Well, we've talked about this. I don't know her music. I think she's great, but I don't know her music.
Beyonce.
I know some.
Jay-Z.
I know some.
Nelly.
Nothing.
No?
Nothing.
See,
What's his top?
I mean, Nelly's
it's the
got
Kelly Rowland song.
the Boo song.
Yeah.
You my little boo thing. You know that song?
That is not Nelly.
Oh.
He did the remix to Cruise.
All right, so I got nothing on Nelly. Who else?
Oh gosh, where did the other ones go? Nelly, Ludacris. That's the one where I'm gonna struggle with.
I have nothing.
Who, by the way, Ludacris is in the one Usher song that we all know. That Yeah song is Usher and Ludacris
And Lil Jon.
Yeah.
Lil Jon's the one you remember.
But Little John doesn't do anything. The only thing he says in the entire song is
sir.
Yeah.
Lil Jon is greatness.
And then Kanye West.
Nothing.
No.
No.
See, I feel somewhat. Although number 11 is T.I. and I got Jack S on T.I.
What you know about me?
Is this guy on the list?
Yeah, he actually is. He's 15.
Oh, is he really?
Yeah.
See, I know all this stuff.
So you got T.I., Lil Wayne, Pink, Alicia Keys, Kenny Chesney,
Pink. Love Pink.
Black Eyed Peas, Tim McGraw, Chris Brown, Rascal Flatts,
Ugh.
Mariah Carey, Toby Keith. Round out your top 20.
Life is a highway.
What?
That's the Rascal Flatts
That's
song.
Rascal.
Oh, yeah, but that's a remake. That Life is a Highway was originally.
It's like Tom Cochran or something. It's
No, it was what's his name? I can picture him.
That
Chris
hurts my
Ledoux.
soul.
Chris Ledoux did it again. A bunch of people have done that song.
Yeah, Rascal Flats suck.
Yeah.
Oh, we got a break.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. It is 6:37.
Yeah.
Do we need to go? What are we doing? We're going to Sports Center here? We're so far behind, I don't even know. Here's Will.
This is a Wild Card Week edition of Primetime with
3 minutes to go in the third, 82-54 Minnesota.
You know, somebody brought up another good reason why we may not, you and I at least, may not know as much about Usher, is that, you know, he had that huge album. And then he kind of, look, he's sustained his success, but it's not as if he's been putting out hit after hit for 25 years. In other words, it kind of all came in a big heaping pile, a big run. And if you weren't into it at that time, maybe you missed it.
Raymond vs. Raymond is 2010. That was a big album that I remember.
Okay.
And Yeah would have been what, 2004?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Is he still, I mean, I know he's still making stuff, but I don't know. I feel like he was really, really, really hot and huge and then kind of went away. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong.
You're talking to the wrong guy when you're asking what happened to Usher.
2010 was big. He was at like all my middle school dances. Usher.
Did he try to go country or something?
No, Nelly did.
Yeah, Nelly did some country stuff. He did some stuff with like Tim McGraw and like there was another one.
He tours with Florida Georgia Line.
Oh my God.
Another terrible band.
He's got like 3 or 4 songs with them.
Well, that's again because when you become irrelevant, you gotta have to kind of. It's like how Kid Rock tries to keep spinning it. Like you just keep jumping to different genres. Machine Gun Kelly. It's like, hey, it's not working in one thing. All right, new fan base.
Machine Gun Kelly sucks.
Time to switch. Well, he picked a fight with Eminem, and
what is
Eminem beat him so bad he had to switch genres and dye his hair pink and become like a emo punker.
He was a crappy.
Is he a rapper?
He was a crappy rapper.
No,
and then he went emo pop and
he's like,
stupid people like.
He's like a punk rocker now.
You know, I saw him in Vegas. He is super tall.
Yeah, he's like 6'5".
Yeah.
He's
super
stupid
tall.
Megan Fox. So you know,
Saw her too.
How did that look in person?
She wanted me. She looked like a mess.
Really?
Yeah, and well, I mean, she's hot, but but kind of trashy hot.
Yeah.
Like,
well, she's out of.
Well, she was in Vegas.
She's got a bunch of surgery now too. But I'll tell you what,
the original dude.
She looks pretty good whenever I see her. Like on, I know it's all plastic out, but that's.
You know how everyone like that first person that you saw in a movie where you went, oh, okay, I'm into women. Megan Fox.
Yeah. Transformers probably for you.
Oh yeah, the scene where she's working on the car doesn't get better than that.
For me, it was Christy Brinkley.
Oh, National Lampoons.
Well, I don't even know about movie. Just seeing her, I was like, ooh, yep. I like ladies.
Yeah, I always think about that.
And Elle McPherson too.
Yeah, anyone that always like it's a choice. No, it's not, dude. Because you remember being like 7 years old or whatever, and whether you saw a dude or you saw a gal, something in your brain was like, don't know why, this is good.
Yeah, but then I saw Usher, and then I was like, wow.
Hey, it's 2024 now, man. That's all right. You can do that.
You're damn right, it's all right.
Yeah, you know. Look at Jason Momoa sometimes. If it doesn't wiggle just a little bit, you're not alive. It's a handsome man.
All right. Now I'm looking at Christy Brinkley's Instagram page.
She still looks great, by the way. She's like 70.
Is she 70?
She's really old.
She does look great.
And looks amazing.
You know who I saw today, or I found out today, was 70 years old, and it blew my mind? Howard Stern.
Yeah. If you ever listen to us, yeah, Christy.
He's only 70?
He's 70.
Yeah.
What do you mean only?
He should be like 85.
What?
Him and Letterman are
I think of him as like 60, maybe 60.
Yeah, oh, he's
70.
Yep, an old man. Yeah, Christy turns 70 in February.
Wow, I
And
didn't know
still
she was that old.
Bringing the heat.
How old's Elle?
I'll bet you Elle is mid to late 50s, would be my guess. Because she came a little after Christy. Oh, no. Elle turned 60 this year.
Julia?
Roberts?
She's a little younger, isn't she?
I would think so.
She looks good, too. I saw her not too long ago.
I never understood that one.
She stopped by the house.
57.
You never understood her?
Yeah.
Julia Roberts?
Yeah, well, because, like, you know, I mean, it's not like I watch a lot of old-time movies, but I go back and dabble, and I just
Old
I
time.
never get it.
Yeah, she's pretty hot.
Well, and now, you know, it's just celebrities, they're just getting hot. Like, they're able to maintain hotness longer. Like, the celebrities of today are aging way better than celebrities of yesteryear. There's diet, there's stem cells, there's surgery. Like, I look at Helen Mirren, who I think is like in her mid-70s, and I'll tell you what, I'd break that hip all day. She is fantastic. Like, Salma Hayek, I think, is in her late 50s.
No, she's in her early 50s.
Is she?
Dude, yeah. Love me some Selma Hayek.
Jennifer Aniston's in her 50s. Looks amazing. Dude, she turns 58 this year. Selma
No,
Hayek.
she doesn't. Oh, okay. So maybe I had her and Aniston mixed up.
Yeah, Selma Hayek turns 58 this year.
Aniston's 54. Wow.
Dude, still bringing the heat. Yeah, surgery and medicine is a hell of a thing.
All right.
Go look back at like the Golden Girls, like B. Arthur, and they were all younger than that when they were doing the Golden Girls. Yeah, and now you look at, there's a whole thing. Like look at like what we thought a 50-year-old looked like in 1980 versus what a 50-year-old looks like now. We're living in a golden age of old people hotness. It's fantastic.
Never been better.
No, never been better.
All right, it is 6:48. We wrap it up next on The Fan.
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, he's got a new game show out.
Mm-hmm.
You seen that?
And he's
That the thing sucks.
Guaranteed it sucks.
you know it's horrible. He's at that point in his career where it's like, look, it's
Yeah, I'll
easy.
do a game.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But he looks great.
Paul Rudd's 54.
Vampire. It looks
Looks exactly
the same.
How about John Stamos? He's 60.
That son of a bitch is too like it pisses me off how handsome he is. Again, there's just some people that you know will age well, like Brad Pitt, and like they just age well because they were. When you're like the best looking person on the planet for 30 years,
Well,
like
I tell you what,
as long as you don't let yourself go.
Freaking Stamos looks great.
Yes, he does.
God, he looks even better at 60.
Yeah, because you get a little bit of that regal salt and pepper, thing going on.
He's got the beard.
Yeah.
He may dye it, but he looks like the most interesting man in the world. His hair's growing out.
I know.
God, what a stud.
It's good to be John Stamos.
Totally.
And Stamos, like, there's no, I don't care. Stamos could get 20 to like 70. Like there is no. His playbook is wide open. He's running the air raid. He can do whatever he wants. He's out there throwing the ball all over the field. There's no group that wouldn't be into John Stamos.
Who was he married to?
He was married to Rebecca Romaine Stamos.
Yeah, that's right. I liked her a lot.
Well, who did?
Let's see what she's looking like now.
Was she like an actress, model?
She was a model. She was Sports Illustrated. And then she did some acting, but she was a Sports Illustrated swimsuit cover model.
A bunch of Instagram hots are now doing Sports Illustrated.
Yeah. Well, the Instagram hot is the new, like for the athlete, all the athletes are with the Instagram hots.
I taught Rob about Summer Rae.
Yeah. Dude, I'm telling you, the Instagram hot thing, you no longer have to be like a professional model. You get 300,000 people that follow you. You get 5,000 of those people to pay $20 a month to see you do something online, and next thing you know, you're rich.
You don't even have to do anything. You just need a lot of bikini photos, and then DK Metcalf will date you. I mean, what?
Yeah, but if you want to make the big money, then you got to be,
Not if DK comes calling.
Well, that's true. But some of those gals, man, are millions of dollars just, playing solitaire with themselves. and I mean, you think about the numbers, like, because those that were anywhere from like what, $10 to $20 a month, whatever, for an OnlyFans account. Think about it. If you get 5,000 to 10,000 people that spend that a month, start doing some math. You're rich, bitch.
Well, and they all do streaming too, and then you just donate to their streams to get them to do whatever on the stream.
Yeah, I got a buddy of mine he likes Twitch, and like,
yeah,
you just get some hot chick that like either takes off her top or wears like a see-through top and plays video games, and like they just sit there and dudes just tip them like nonstop.
Lucy Liu, 55.
Looks amazing. One of my first Asian loves.
Adam Sandler,
55.
57.
He has not aged very well. He looks a little rough around the edges, but he's worth like $300 million, so it doesn't matter. And in every one of his movies, his wife is the hottest thing on the planet. So